Good morning, good evening, good night, depending on where you're around this universe. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared. How you doing, buddy?
I've been better,
Like
but I'm getting there.
shit. Yes, I am very, very sleep deprived. Algared has had. Algared, how about you just tell us the week you've had with what's been happening in
Right.
your household? I think you wouldn't mind sharing it with people. So tell people what's
Yeah.
happened.
I have contract COVID. I'm also a carer, so 2 weeks ago, um, people I'm caring for got COVID, so I took a carer's day, and as a result of that, but I think even the period beforehand, I contracted COVID, and it has been horrid.
I can relate because
Um,
I got it only a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and it is quite horrid.
it does knock you for six.
And if your whole
Uh,
household's got it, yeah, not a pleasant experience. So it's taken a while for it to get here, but we now can kind of push that back across the globe, so to speak, and we now understand what people are being through. So it's a particularly, I think the way I would explain it is a very particularly nasty flu that has a kind of real sting at the start, and then it very slowly kind of the first
Papers off.
couple of days, and then it just lingers, especially for a really long time. Unlike the flu, like a flu can kind of just hit and you've got it for, a couple of days max, usually for me. But this one, oh man,
Yeah,
it lingered for 2 months. And it turned
I,
it turned into a cough at the end, and just this cough that just stayed for ages.
I can understand why when I had flu-like symptoms, a couple of months ago, that my
Mm,
doctor went, yeah, let's test you for COVID just in case,
mm,
and it wasn't, I'd been doing the RAP tests and all the rest of it as well.
yeah.
It was
So
clear, but this thing, oh,
yeah. So unlike
it's sad.
Algared, I'm just very, very sleep deprived. I've had about 4 hours sleep in 3 1 hour lots. Just with the way things unfolded this week for me in Alien Week. So you probably saw the episode earlier, potentially I did with badges. We're going to go over a bit of that again, but I don't think this stream is going to be as long as we normally do. I do
Oh,
apologize for that, and we've already got a lot of people waiting. It's just that both Algared and I are just really under the weather. So if we don't last that long,
yeah.
we apologize. But yeah, I basically this is so I can get Algared's version of events and maybe ISC, and then I will start at the bot though.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was going to say Nova 42 is asking the question: is the bot working yet?
Yeah, well, you guys can run the stream vicariously this week, and we'll just answer your questions, because I think it's going to be a bit like that. We're not doing not a tuner. Like, I'll show you how set up not a tuner is. Ready? This is how set it up it is. That's the back of my computer because the camera's backwards. That's how set up it is. It's not set up at all. So I've got nothing ready to go. We're just it's one of those weeks where we're both just under the weather, so we're going to do the best we can. And it was like the episode this week. I was saying to Algrid, why is it when you and I are totally exhausted and do the most low bottom effort episode that we try to do? It's
Yeah.
happened with a couple of episodes where we just get really high views and numbers, and it's like, maybe we should just be really perpetually exhausted and we'll get more views. Like, it's really weird. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm often feeling, perpetually exhausted and worn out.
Mm,
But I think part of it is when we're both feeling under the weather and crap,
mm.
there's less fluff. Let's just get it done.
Yeah, so maybe that's a bit. Maybe when we just cut to the chase, maybe we should do that more often. I don't know. I don't know. But it turned out
I know.
turned out apparently it's very clickbaity. People were saying, but that's not how we well, that's not how I thought of it when we were doing it, did we? We just went. I think it was you that even said the title, wasn't it? When we did
Yeah,
it, you just said the
yeah,
end is nine. I went, oh yeah, that'll do.
yeah.
And
The end
then
is
I, and
nice,
then I
but
did,
yeah,
and then I made
not.
the text one and said, oh yeah, the end of the road or something like that, because I just went
Yeah,
along with what you said, and then
but we weren't looking at it as being negative. It was literally
yeah,
the end of the road, lights at the end of the tunnel. That
yeah.
type of thing.
Mm,
But yeah, and no, Brad. Unfortunately, if I do happen to fall off the perch due to COVID or anything else,
mm,
my fleet will probably end up going to nephews and other
mm.
things. So sorry. No.
I get a brokerage fee, which is a scythe, but that's totally fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and probably not going to happen either. But
Well, I've got someone's gonna have to help him get it all organized. So yeah, I don't know. You can put it in there, but no, I'd help him, no problem. But yeah, he's got a lot of nieces and nephews, so yeah, he'll be golden.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and look at ISC. Oh shit, I still haven't do the
While I
bot.
remember, don't forget, and don't forget, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. I'm watching the YouTube on my channel as well, and I just saw I hadn't hit that little thumbs up button, so hit that thumbs up button. If you do watch us a lot and you're not subscribed, and we know there's at least 50% of you that aren't, please hit that subscribe button. It does help us a lot.
Hey McGilly, how you doing? Hey McGilly, do you want to come and join in the stream and just like drive for us? You can come join us if you want, McGilly.
Right.
Let me know and I'll drag you in. Just join one of the voice channels on Inforunners and I'll drag you up. You can come help us.
And read the questions.
Yeah, you can read the questions because we're totally stuffed. We're so zoinked. Yeah, bots up by the way. Finally, yeah, but no not a tuner this week because we're just not feeling it. So apologies for that, guys. But I'm super sleepy. Yeah, you're super sleepy. You son of a bitch. Right. It's all good. Yeah, McGilly and I
issue ship.
Yeah, me and McGilly are always giving each other shit, so that's just how it goes. But yeah, right. What were you gonna say, Algared?
So Julian says, "What's the name of a ship that's fly without?" It's the Sulian. The fly without issue ship. That's a ship we've seen mentioned in code and other stuff. It's a ship we were expecting to come out or be at least concepted. I thought I'd heard them say that they were planning to get the Santoki Eye out.
No, that's not due to be finished to September, so it got pushed back. I think initially that was the plan, and I think that's why there's an image there of it. I don't know if you've had a chance, but there is a video, not a video, an image of it there. But no, alas, no, not at this stage. I'm having a quick look to see if ISC is out yet. No.
But I did think that that we probably didn't need a new ship. Like, it would have been nice to get a Silver Santoki Eye as being flyable, but I don't think we needed a new ship. What's the purpose of Alien Week? I think from memory, Alien Week actually celebrates first contact.
That's correct. That's what I remember.
With the Banu. So if people are wondering why the hell we have Alien Week as a thing, it's first contact. So
Lemming, our mod, is just letting us know in Twitch there. He says it's actually extended until December. Are you serious? Wow. So that's like pushed it way out. That's so far back. Really? So yeah, it was originally June, then September, and now it's pushed all the way back until December. That's crazy. So yeah, that's a very unfortunate turn of events. Obviously, they're if you actually think about it, Algared, that kind of goes in line with the episode we did, polish, because that's probably what's happened. They've probably put him on other things to get whatever they're doing done. So yeah.
I will say, while there's not much in Alien Week per se, there are quite a few Warbond CCUs. I was doing a quick look beforehand. I don't know whether I'm pretty certain you did this in the stream earlier. But I did a rough calculation that
he's not wrong.
If you're after a BMM, you could actually pick one up. If you're a subscriber, you could pick one up using just Warbond CCU savings in a week.
Sorry.
You could actually save $125.
So this Lemming just sent me this. It's I'm gonna zoom in a bit just so people can see. But that's the Santoki Eye. Oh man, this is not gonna work on this screen. I'm gonna have to go full hog. Hold on. Hog engage. Yeah, so we got the Santoki Eye. And if I go all the way to the other image. Now, when last time I looked at it was at September. Now it's going all the way till December. So wow, okay, that's got a 3-month extension essentially, or what? Yeah, 2.5, 3. Yeah, crazy. I didn't see that coming. I don't know yourself, Algared.
But I'll be honest, like 9 times out of 10, I don't really pay attention to when the ships are coming out. I just when they come out, and I know it sounds.
Well, we've usually said the longer it takes, the better. Yeah, we've kind of got to that point now.
I've never really worried about the ships coming out. They'll come out, and they're usually better when they come out later and they've been polished and all the rest of it. It's just the way ships are.
Mm.
Um, you
Uh,
know, and look what happens to ships that got rushed. Like the Steel, I think was a rush job, and it's
it
an
feels a little bit
absolute
like
piece
it.
of, and it's an absolute piece of
Yeah. No, don't disagree.
pieces.
All right, Algared, should we go have a quick look then at Alien Week in general? Because that's something
Yeah,
you and
you
I
may as
actually
well.
haven't done today because we've been
Yeah.
sleeping.
And people already know that I've already said, well, I've had a quick look at the CCUs,
Mm.
and there are opportunities there for people. So,
Yeah, you were saying that before the show that there's
mm,
because they've got a few out in succession. What was it? It was like cost $25 or something. You said to buy all of them. And got quite some
um,
substantial savings.
uh, yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't actually say what the savings were, but the savings on each ship, like Banu Merchantman's
Mm,
a $50 saving at the moment for a Warbond CCU.
mm,
A Prowler, $30 saving on
yeah.
CCU if you're a subscriber.
Mm,
A Blade is a $25 saving,
mm.
and a Defender is a $20 saving. So add those all up, and you could get a $125 saving. If you're not a
That,
pick up a
but
Centurion.
believe it or not, that's a higher level of saving than minus the caterpillar, because I no, because of the A2, I should have said not
Mm,
minus the caterpillar. So only going up to the caterpillar was $115 saving. So that's technically higher than Invictus was if you do the
yeah,
math.
and that's just on those four.
Mm,
And if you're not a subscriber, pick up a $10 Centurion subscriber for a month. Buy the Defender, buy the Prowler Warbond
CCU, yeah.
CCU, which then brings it down to a $20 savings. So instead of 125, it's 105. So even
Mm,
if you fill out for a subscription for a month,
still pays
you still
especially that's for one. That's just for one chain. If you're buying multiple chains, I'm going to be honest with you, Aaron, I'll just tell you right now. I bought 6 of that CCU today. It's
yeah.
that good. It's one of the best CCUs. It perfectly connected 2 of my CCUs. It was right in a gap that I hadn't seen for years, and I was like, "Oh, stuff it! I'm just going to buy a
Yeah,
subscription and go buy them," because it just brought all these chains down by like quite a considerable amount.
yeah.
And
Well, and if if you buy 2 of those chains, instead of that chain being reduced by $10, if you buy 2 of them, it's suddenly
Mhm,
a $5 reduction. If you buy 4 of them, it's a $2.50. So the more of those
mhm.
you buy to fill out the various chains, the less that buying that subscription cost will be. So,
Mm.
um,
Just to show people I'm not joking. So there's all the skins I brought to melt off tomorrow. 1, 2, 3. I'm not kidding. 4, 5, 6.
yeah.
Got the knife packs there for not a tuna. Um, there was something else I
And
wanted to show you here. I don't know if it's going to
and
come
the
up.
other thing you can do if you're a subscription is a subscriber. You get the subscriber store, which means you get access to all the additional subscriber flair.
Yeah, we got
And years
this.
ago,
We got this from CIG to give away. I wanted to show you that. So
the Cartuel,
yeah.
nice.
So that'll probably
The
get checked.
Cartu me.
Yes, Katu. Oh, that'd be a really good skin actually. When I don't know how you do that, like some kind of crazy Banu Algared skin, but yeah, I don't know. It could be funny.
It'd have to be gold and Hurston colours, I think.
That said, though, Algared, I think you've just found the name of yours, the Katu me.
Well, I've
That'd be
been following
fun.
Cartu me for years.
Yes. All right.
But
Back
yeah,
back to Alien Week. Do we want to go through these real quick, or how do you want to go about this, mate? Because
I'll go through them.
all
Just
right,
just
you
what's
guys
the
want
name?
us? You guys want us to go? I don't know. Should we do a poll, or should we just no? We'll just like if you guys don't want us to do it, just say no. Don't do this. It's a waste of time. If not, we'll go through them. All right. So,
Or owl
um,
face.
I'm gonna
John
say
says or owl faces on the engines. That's scary.
like
Wouldn't
yeah,
that
with
just
it
be like targets?
like with your mouth open. Uh,
Yeah,
and
targets.
the engine just comes out your mouth. Anyway, I'm gonna preface this and say I think Algar and I will both say most of these ships are not worth it. Because
Yeah,
they fall into the fighter category. I'm gonna say that there's probably 4 on here that I would highly consider, right? But that's about it. Algar, I don't know if you're in that same
yeah,
kind of ballpark. But as always, we generally will turn around and say, you do whatever you want. We even have ships that we own that break these rules, right? Because so don't let
Yeah.
your us dictate what you buy. You buy what you want. This is generalized financial advice, and it's
Yeah.
based on value, not on how we feel. It's kind of based on facts and
Yeah.
statistics more than anything
I
else.
think there are only really two ships we've ever really gone on how we feel.
Yeah.
Well, for you, it's Origin as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hey, look, it's still facts and statistics when it comes to me for Origin. You know, like
yeah,
if they pulled out
you-
a ship that had the gameplay, I'd be on it tomorrow. Don't you worry.
well, and that's a fair cop because you did like the 400 because it actually seemed to have purpose. And you even though we disliked the way they introduced the 100i, the 100 series did the same type of thing. It was
Yep.
compact. It gave you purpose. It gave the cost was just beyond the pale. So
Algared, for me, I think the redeeming thing, if they bring it out, will be the shop ship for Origin. I still hang on to some kind of hope that they'll be getting that, but we'll see. We'll see.
I also tend to think we'll see that they do have that redundancy or that longevity of service. They're it's like the old thing about German manufacturing. You know, the fact that it's German, it's built well, it's going to last, it's going to do a job. But man, when it breaks, it's going to be so hard to fix and so expensive to fix.
All right, with those caveats out of the way, just remember, if you want a question answered, me and Algared will get to that in as soon as we can. All right, the Blade, Algared. Really good meta at the moment. It's got a bit of a refresh because of that. But sadly, it's this right here that makes it so limited. It's its price, and I think that is something that as I said when I did the video with Badges today, it's a reoccurring thing. They kind of hit with an alien tax and hit with a combat tax, so they have this double whammy that just really makes them. They know how highly desirable these ships are, and they are price matched accordingly. If you even go back to when the Scythe was originally available at $350, the whole reason I passed on it, and now like that seems like lunacy. It's like, why would you pass on that? It's worth so much now on the grey market. But at the time, I just went Super Hornet. Oh, it wasn't even Super Hornet. I think it was
Standard Hornet.
The Standard Hornet or the and I went, it's 3.5 times the price. Why would I do that? And then I just went, no, you know. So. And how did I know that years later it would get banned, or not banned, but like they'd remove it from sale and all that, you know? It's the same thing here, though. Most of the Vandal ships fall under the same problem.
Well, this isn't even a real Vandal ship. It's an Asperia ship.
Exactly.
It's a recreation. It's made by, now Asperia, they do back engineer, they do manufacture the parts, they do, they do copy things. That's their niche. But it's still only an Asperia ship. The other thing is it's a light fighter.
Yep.
So and when you look at the way the Vandal human conflict has gone, it's been Blades, Gladiuses, then Scythes, Hornets, so you've got this constant stepping stone moving up in development. And I can't even see the Blade being that great a fighter, if it's comparable to or not as comparable to a Gladius, then what's the point?
To kind of speed this up, I think we'll do the same thing, Algared. This is the same thing. This literally falls into exactly the same metrics, except you go from what Algared said of a light fighter to more of their medium fighter or heavy fighter, whatever they're going to brand this on as. It's exactly the same, same problem.
Same problem. The price is a killer on the Vandal ships, and in fact, probably all the alien ships.
To put this into perspective, that any Inforunner viewer would understand, that is an Endeavor.
Yeah,
that is nuts.
That's an Endeavor or a Crucible.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just can't get behind that at all. And you want a combat ship, go get a Redeemer. It's $25 cheaper, and it will eat this thing for breakfast. And
I feel for anyone who has Pokemon syndrome.
Yep.
Because you want to get them, and they do look cool, and they are nice. And I can remember flying the Glaive and the Scythe and the Blade with the Org, and it is doing old Arena Commander Combat Royale. And one of the things we found it was hard to target. You just pure it, and it just people would just lose contact on you. It was
That's
a weird.
I'm sorry, Lemons made a really good comment. He said, "No amount of CCU chaining will make the glaive worth it." That just hits the nail on the head right there. No matter how cheap you can get that down from $350, it's still never going to be like compare it to the Super Hornet. It's not going to get down to that $885, $190 price tag. Just can't get there. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
And
let's move on.
when Lemming says something like that, it's kind of worth listening to him because he's like, at the moment, he's probably the guru of CCUs.
He helps us out a lot, especially when I'm really sleep deprived. So he's a lot of he's the person I bounce everything off because he knows it as well as you and I do, and he just helps us especially when I'm totally out of it. He's very good like that. All right, the Defender. Now this is one of the ones I think that is good, as in the ship is very good. But I still struggle with the price tag, like I do all combat and alien type of fighters. This will definitely see more of a heyday with Pyro. But right now, it still warps really quickly compared to other fighters between planets and stuff like that. And it's almost like how do I say it? It's like a mini Vanguard. And what I mean by that is it's a light fighter that's long range. So it's like almost like a Gladius and a Vanguard had a baby type of thing. And it really is, if you look at the stats on paper, it is almost dead ringer for the Saber, except it's got a walkable area and it has 2 people.
Yeah. If you do look at it as a Vanguard, it's actually a good buy.
You said
Vanguard.
Sorry.
Expensive.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just kidding. You lagged out a little bit there. You said Vanguard, but it's all good. Keep going.
So if you look at it as a kind of a mini Vanguard, walkable space and all the rest of it, it's not too bad because it's 220 versus I think 235 or 225 for the Hoplite. So
Hoplite's 235. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's in that ballpark anyway, and I think it might have gone up, man.
Yeah, sorry. 235. Well, I'm not just looking at the
Don't crucify us for getting prices wrong today. We're going to get a lot of things wrong today with how tired we are. So yeah.
So that's a. I do like the Defender. It's a nice looking ship. It feels nice. But yeah, happy me.
This one was 150, went up to 170. I still think it's going to have a heyday renaissance when wormholes come back around, as in, and racing. Believe it or not, I think this is going to be a real racer go-getter once those alien flight physics and stuff come in. I don't know where you sit there, Algared, but I think this ship is really one of those ones that are in a holding pattern, waiting for its gameplay to type of come along. It's not the best fighter. It really is just a ship that kind of flies and got a few little guns on it, and it does feel a little bit gimmicky as a fighter because it's got kind of a large footprint. But as a lot of alien ships, and a lot of ships actually in this game, it just doesn't. It's just not there yet. So you are buying on a potential. I don't know. How would you put that? Unless you put it a different way to me.
Look, I've always thought that the Cartual and their ships, I can't even remember the name. There's
the other Zion one, the Santokyo?
Oh, yeah. Obviously on ships.
Yep.
I just couldn't remember the name. That's how horrid I'm feeling at the moment.
It's all good, bro.
But I've always thought, because of the way their engines are, that they'd be able to get their heyday with people using joystick control, joint double joystick. I can see these things once 6 degree, flight models are in right, he's going to nail it. And ideal racer. The only negative thing about it being a racer is, certainly if you're using the race rings on Arena Commander, is it used to struggle to get, you had to line it up right, otherwise you clip the rings and
it shows it shows things like that after. Because here's the other thing is, like, people, I've got one thing Stunner said, stealth gameplay might come in. That is absolutely correct. It might have a different thing with stealth. And someone also said, mentioned the Talon. Now, you struggle to look at this ship when you put it up against a Talon, because a Talon is cheaper by $60. And what does this offer? It doesn't offer anything over the Talon, which shows you that there is something not there. There's something missing that we're not seeing yet. And I think a lot of it has got to do with that flight model. I don't. Again, it's hard to tell why some of the ships are more expensive than others when they haven't kind of given us a reason to see that. So keep an eye on this one. Keep it in your back pocket. At least think about it. I think it's going to come around again. All right, the big one. This is by far and away the best alien ship in the game. I don't think anyone would argue with us on that. Well, I'm sure there's some crazy person out there that will try. But yeah, at $250 back at the original day, and any warband or discounted version that you can get on this, yeah, it's nuts. I don't know, Algared, is there anything you want to kind of add to what?
The 4 CCUs you can get for this at the moment can bring that down to what, a $525 ship? No, $525.
What'd you say? You said 200 and
$125 saving. $125 saving if you're a subscriber. $105 if you buy a subscription.
Yeah, that's not bad. So yeah, that's what, $545 with the subscription. Yeah. And I guess it goes up by 10 because you had to buy the subscription. So, yeah.
Well, 125 with the subscription.
Yeah.
105 if you buy the subscription. So still.
Yeah. So it's still bloody good. I still even think at full price, $650, it's still a very good. Well, the way I said it today, I agreed in the video, was I said that is $50 over the original concept of the 890 jump, and that's essentially what this ship is. It's a variant of the 890 jump. And it'll take a lot. It'll take a lot to convince me, and I don't know about you, but it takes a lot to convince. Well, I say me and you. It'll take a lot to convince us that is not a version of the 890 jump. But
and I still think that $650 is not the end price of this. It's I think it's easily going to be around $890, but the price of the 890, you'll see it sitting around that price. I think in the long run.
Quick and dirty, Algared.
It's a bike.
Yep. There we go. Right. And I agree with him. Just don't buy vehicles. They're just terrible value in them in game. The Prowler. Now, you and I have gone... We've used this as an example for how bad alien ships are for a really long time now. You mentioned the Hoplite before. I mentioned in the video today again, as we sound like a bit of broken record here, but there's a reason why we repeat ourselves a lot. The Hoplite was actually more expensive in game, but almost half price out of game.
Yeah.
And then they increased the price in game. It was $1 million behind, so they increased this by $2 million to put it $1 million in front. And I think this is 4-something million, and the Prowlers, the Hoplite's 3-something million. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head.
And I still don't think the price matches what you get. I remember Paul's reaction.
Drop all the ships. Drop all the price of the ships between the Hoplite and this, and you get things like the Reclaimer, the Endeavor, the Crucible, the Starfarer, the Caterpillar. I think it's even got the C2s in there. Like, any of those ships are leagues above this. This is not a $440 ship by any stretch of the imagination. It is not a true Tavaran. It is a reproduction. It may be a really cool ship and work really well, but it is that double whammy of dropship combat and alien through and through.
And you've got to remember, like, when we're looking at the Tavaran ships in particular, you're looking at ships that are Tavaran War vintage ships. They've been updated. Like, if they're Asperia, they've been, ships that they've modernized and put new components and stuff in where they've needed to bring it up to the safety standards and stuff. But it's still effectively an alien ship from a Tavaran War, so several hundred years ago. So is it as good as the more modern ships that come out doing that? Probably not. Is it a cool looking ship? Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. The Raelian. I think this is another one that was good value at its price. I don't know if you feel the same, but yeah, what's your kind of take on the Raelian real quick?
Price of the same, roughly around the price the BMM was originally. I think you're right when you've said it's kind of the BMM replacement.
Yeah. So the original merchantman was a blockade runner, and that's essentially what this is. So yeah. All right. The Santoki Eye, now delayed to December. Holy shit! I don't know how else I think about that, Algared. How do you kind of feel about this being delayed? You don't give a shit that it's been delayed? I think we talk about this a fair bit, but yeah.
No, like, yeah, it's annoying that ships get delayed when they've said it's coming, but
Mm,
in the long run, when a ship's delayed because they're doing other stuff and they come back and they work on it, but later, the more they develop their ship stream, the more they develop the assets and the way they're doing things, the more they develop the components going in and being able to be interacted with, the more, all those little things they keep adding in to the HUDs and other stuff. That just means the ships end up being better when they come out later. So, um, yeah.
I kind of want to do a poll, but I don't know how to word it. Maybe one of the mods can work this out and run the poll for me. But I kind of want to ask how, like, not out of 10. I don't know how to do this. I kind of want to ask how disappointed people are that there was no new ship. Like, maybe out of 4 or something, like a rating out of 4, like 4 being the weakest and what, I don't know, you work it out. But I kind of want to know how annoyed people are that there was no new ship. It's like, I live with it, don't care type of thing. Or, the other end, I'm like, what is this atrocity type of thing? But I don't know how to word that. Lemming, if you're there, man, can you think of a way to kind of do a poll there for us? You do have ability to do polls if you can in both YouTube and Twitch for me, if you would be so kind, sir.
My wallet is very happy there's no new ship.
Well, that's the weird thing. We were actually going to buy that ship to
Yeah,
do as a giveaway, but we didn't get anywhere near
Yep.
those to
Didn't
give
get anywhere
away.
near where we're thinking, but
Maybe that's why we didn't get anyone subscribing. Maybe that's what it was. They're like, you're full of shit. That ship's not coming out. So
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah.
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 A Santoki Eye is basically, I think,
Mm.
medium or heavy fighter, so it's kind of the
Yep.
Xeon equivalent to a Hornet.
Yep.
It's actually better priced in terms of being a medium fighter than, say, the Glaive, which...
Well, even the Defender, right now it's the same price as the Defender, but obviously it's going to go up, isn't it? But yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a bit different with the 3 guns instead of the 2, so it's got something a little bit different going. I don't know. You tell me, Algared. It doesn't quite look as maneuverable as the Scout, does it? It's kind of got this half vertical, half horizontal thing at the same time. So,
but it's also not a Scout. The Scout you expect to be fast, nimble, all the rest. It's a brawler, not a...
You've reminded me of something. So during the week, I had this idea. You remember way back when I said, "Oh, that F8 Lightning, I reckon that's going to be for the ship that you've got to earn to, like, when you finish the campaign, they'll give it to you access or give it to you for free." Do you remember when I said that, like, 3 or 4 years before it happened? I'm going to call it again. I reckon they may be saving the heavy fighter for the aliens or the end of their campaigns.
Yeah, it would make sense. It would
Yeah.
make sense.
So whatever the fat boy is for the Santoki Eye or the Banu, whenever they release their expansions, you'll have to earn that ship. I don't know. It makes a lot of sense. Why haven't we seen a heavy fighter from the aliens yet? So, could be completely wrong. Just a thought that came to me during the week, and I just thought of it this then, so I thought I'd share it with you. Then go off sleep.
The other thing is, you look at this compared to the Banu, Banu Defender. Banu Defender's a 2-man ship. I think this is the 1-man ship. Banu Defender's also, I think, a light fighter, believe it or not, opposed to...
That's the disappointing thing about this thing, Algared. This was originally concepted as 2 people. What?
Yeah.
Would have been so much better. And that might be another thing that comes around, Algared. They go back and do the 2-person variant. That would be so sick. Like, that changes this ship drastically, because you got someone that can operate the scanner and shit like that, and then you got someone that can literally fly it, and it puts this ship on a completely another level. And I think you would agree, it kind of shows like some kind of harmony between this and the Reliant core. Believe it or not, I can see that kind of synergy. It's like humans almost copying the alien version of this, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's what I
Uh,
always thought the Reliant Core was basically doing. It was
yeah.
trying to give us what they originally concepted, but in a human feel as well.
All right. The Talon and the Shrike. Noticed a few comments come up from people as I've been doing this. But
Mhm.
real quickly, if we go into the pledge store, there is a package for this, Algared. And I did talk about,
There is a startup.
yeah, and I did talk
For that.
about this earlier today. Where did you hide it? Where did you go? Cotton Eye Joe, where did you go? And it's not here. What? Why do you
Go
hide
to
it?
the Alien.
Yeah, I know. It's
Try.
just weird. Why is that hidden? Uh, why wouldn't it be on the page? Yeah. What was it under? Was it under this one? Or was it under?
I thought it was in the Alien Week.
Yeah, but there's two Alien Week pages, and that's why it's confusing.
I think it's this one.
There it is. There she blows. Right. So, comes with Star Citizen, 1,000 hour for UEC, BFG Industrial, which is a pirate hangar, 6 months insurance. Prices are in the Australian dollar, I can tell. Yep. So basically, it costs the price of the ship, but you get the package for free essentially for War Bond. So it's you get the package for $15 normally. So that actually essentially means you're getting Star Citizen $15 off. It's kind
Well,
of
you also pick up the Tavaran armor skin. So
yep.
there's a full armor set, like
Yep.
wearable armor in there, and I think it's got a paint. Did it have a paint as well?
It's got the armor.
So it's got a full set of armor.
Wanderer paint. No, you're right. There is a paint there. It's the Wanderer paint. We'll talk about the paints in a minute because they're actually quite nice. I'm going to be honest with you. The best paints we've seen in a while. Even Badgers was oohing and ahhing a little bit today. So yeah. The pack. My biggest concern was I wouldn't recommend a fighter as kind of like a starting thing. So my thing is like buy this and upgrade off, and it was like, but you've bypassed like most of the ones that you'd want to go to, like the Avenger, the Cutter, and the Cutlass. So you kind of starting to go into more niche ship, and the only other one it really leaves you is the Freelancer. So I'm more inclined to say kind of pass on this as for like a new person. But if you know exactly, like if that one person has been educated and been brought into the game and they know they want the Vulture, or they know the ship they want, go nuts. But
for me, like if you're already into the game and you're looking for a starter pack to advance yourself, or even if you're looking at getting in the game, if you can get a starter pack with LTI or better insurance, you go for it. And 115 for a starter pack, or 110 for a starter pack, or whatever it ends up being, it's just with 6 months insurance. It's just to me feels a little bit too expensive. It just doesn't cut it. And I know that sounds harsh, but you
Lemming, real quick, Lemming, did you put that up on YouTube as well? Because okay, so there's a poll up on Twitch, but there isn't one on YouTube yet. So I don't know, unless I missed it.
Yeah.
Can you do YouTube as well, please, Lemming? All right, sorry, go ahead.
And Negativity, thank you for the $10 coffee donation on YouTube. He says, I hate Xenos and Xeno ships, except Aurelian. And somehow I am still disappointed that there is no concept for a new ship. What is wrong with me? You have not copium, but you have Pokemon syndrome.
No, I don't disagree with him. And now I kind of think about it, that's 2 years we haven't got a ship. Unless it's coming, like, I don't know, does it seem like a CIG thing to, like, every sale we've ever been to Algared, it's right off the bat for something. Even if it's the one thing, it's right there. You know what I mean? If there's multiple things, then you get something at the start and then a few other things. But every sale, you correct me if I'm wrong, Algared, every sale, it's right there off the bat, yeah?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Makes it hard to kind of think there's anything coming now. So, yeah.
Keep us on our toes. Is the Cerulean coming? Well, it was something we saw in the code.
Yeah.
It was something that those who do the data mining were saying there is.
Yeah.
There was no reason to believe it's not. The name translate. You know, it was even being said to be a Gattaca ship. It was from Gattaca. The naming seemed to fit with the same type of naming they were using for the Raelian.
Yep.
Raelian meaning
Carry without issue.
issue,
Yeah.
and Tulian was fly without issue. So it fits with that whole thing.
So what do you, real quick, what do you think of this paint? Badges and I both really liked it. It's kind of like, especially the Prowler one. He really liked the Prowler one. So it's like the default Prowler with a bit of color splash on it. I really liked it. What are your thoughts? It's just an opinion, really.
I despise the paints because they just jack up the upgrade packs at the end of the year.
They kind of do, yeah. So what Algared's talking about is they basically offer an upgrade pack for the completionist, and basically now it's got everything stuffed into it. So every piece of armor, every knife, everything that they bring out, all packed in, and it's now just ballooned this everything pack out
and they,
quite a bit.
Instead of just getting the ships, you end up getting every paint, every weapon, every armor skin, and they use that to inflate the price.
They should really offer just the ship stuff and everything.
Unfortunately, you know, I'm 90% to blame.
Yeah.
I'm in that small group where they were asked. They said, "What do you want us to put in this pack?" And we said, "Everything."
How about you go back? How about you go back now and ask for an everything pack that is just all the ships? That's what I'd be doing if I was in that group. But yeah, so yeah,
So you know, I can't complain, but I do.
Yeah. So this is the other one, Algared. This is So we obviously had the Prowler already and the Talon, but we've added two kind of new ones, or three kind of new ones if you count the Nox, but I'm not going to bother with the Nox.
So that one I don't mind the look of on the Gladiator.
So this one's a little weird.
It is
for me.
weird, but
weird.
It's got, but yeah, that one I like better than the other one, but it's still a paint. It's still going to balloon the cost of the upgrade packs, and
I think that one kind of, well, that's the one I used for the image today. That's in our look. If I quickly go back, that's the one there in the background. It looks a lot better there. It's going to be one of those skins that with how the light catches it type of thing. So yeah. That's one of the things that annoy me about these hanger images is they are not, they've picked a particularly kind of not the best hanger for color wise. So sometimes a lot of the skins look a lot darker than they are. I would have picked like a white hanger. I don't know which one you would have used, but this one's just a bit too dark for my tastes. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Different selection. You know, I did my usual thing, Algared. I brought all of them and melted and then tomorrow I'll melt them all into buyback. So
yeah. But
oh wait, real quick. Thank you for the subscription, Clariman, with the Prime. Thank you. 5 months. Oh, 5 months. We're getting up there, man. We've been doing that long now. Jeez. No,
apparently. I suppose the big advantage of paints is with the plethora of paints we're getting, it does enable people to have their ship their way, I suppose. So, you know, it helps give a little bit of individuality so that not every Avenger you see will be a cardboard cutout of the other one. You know, there'll be a little something. So.
Yeah. So I think you would also agree, Algared, the completionist packs are probably a big no-no in that regard.
In terms of value for money, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, generally stay away from the packs, but yeah.
Often in value for money, the packs aren't worth it, to be honest.
Yeah.
They scratch the itch of those with Pokemon syndrome. But if you're after the best value for money, you avoid the packs. Very occasionally, if you're someone who spent lots of money and you've got lots of credits and you're trying to get LTI on all your ships or something like that, then a pack is the best way to go. But why don't they? Good question from the Shopful says, why don't the complete alien pack contain all alien ships the Cypher's missing? And that's basically because the Cypher isn't sold.
That's it.
I do tend to think it's probably one of those cases where you'd put it in, but that's going to jack that price up Again,
I
I
think
know
people.
they
I can tell you right now they'd sell a lot more of those completionist packs if they had a scythe in there. I can tell you that
oh
right now.
those
Yeah.
complete alien packs would certainly sell a bucket load. But I suppose it also is one of those things that uh, makes things like the Legatus or the Praetorian packs a little bit more worth it, because I think they've both got the scythe in it. So, but yeah.
First time chatter on Twitch says, did they already watch the video and look at the QA? There's a QA.
There's a Q&A for the Storm out,
Oh,
I believe.
oh, all right. Let's go have a look at that. Let's go have a look at that. That sounds like a great idea. All right. Didn't notice that was that. This is what happens with sleep deprivation. Hey, there is a Tumbril Storm. Let's have a look. Alrighty. What vehicles will the Storm fit inside? Shares the same garage as the Tumbril. Oh, I'm gonna have to move this down the screen, Algared. It's killing my eyes.
And put it and put it on the screen as well. So, thank you.
All right, sorry. Yeah, Algared can't see if it's not on this screen. Right.
Yeah.
As the Storm is intended to be a small, just double check that everyone can see what. Nope, I haven't put the screen over. See, I didn't put it over. That's what I wanted to check. Right now they can see what we see. Right, cool. Right, good. Now we're on the same page. Right. As what Storm will the vehicles fit in Storm? Same size as the Numbril, Nova, and Anvil Atlas platforms, so anything that supports them. However, its reduced height and length allow it to fit into some ships it cannot, as the above, such as the Anvil Carrack and the Drake Corsair. It can fit into a Corsair? What? What?
Probably because it's lower.
Wait, well, that means that if it fits into the Corsair, that means it might also fit into the Constellation and MSR.
Probably. Although I think, didn't you point out when we were talking once that the hanger of cargo bay on the Corsair is basically a Connie hanger, kind of flipped 90 degrees or something like that?
Yeah, it's been a while. It has been a while. Yeah.
So,
as the Storm is intended to be a smaller, faster vehicle, but as large as it currently needs to fit the vehicle that can transport a Nova tank, Atlas spell inside it, where does it fit into the grand scheme of things? For example, in which scenario would one be favored over the other? As mentioned above, while it has the same garage size, blah, 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 flexibility in terms of transport and deployment, the two tanks operate in very different roles. Here we go. The Storm is fast and lightly armored, and whilst the Nova is much lighter and slower, but packs more of a punch. Yeah, which is what we expected.
Paper, scissors, rock.
Yep, essentially.
But yeah.
How fast?
To be compared to other ground combat vehicles. All sorts are subject to change. Duh. So basically they can't answer that question because
close to the Ursa in speed, which is what I was expecting. That's literally what I was saying. I was expecting it to be around Ursa a little faster. Okay, what are vehicle plates support? What are the vertical plates supported in the struts decorations? Rule of cool decoration pieces, though they are inspired by modern world standoff armor panels that deflect incoming rounds away from. So they're not air brakes. They're modern armor deflection panels. Okay, didn't know that was a thing, but there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, Badgers was laughing at when they called them air brakes, but yeah. The Storm has clearly visible smoke chaff launchers like found on those mounts. Will this vehicle have countermeasures like noise and flares? Yes, it has the suite of countermeasures as found on other vehicles. What is tactical specs armor and how does it differ from mil-spec components that have been offered in the past? It's just a marketing phrase. At least they admit it. No special behind the tank could be typed. Yep, that's hilarious. How defended is the tank compared to, say, an Ursa Nova or Centurion, and how does the armor fare in comparison? In terms of
it's not as good as a Nova, and it's going to be better than an Ursa. Like, I can answer that question without even knowing what CIG are going to say. Yeah. Like,
sits between
sometimes these questions are stupid.
Sits between the Nova and the Centurion. So the Centurion is more armored than this. That kind of tells you where it's sitting. Yeah. As tanks are intended to be off. Yeah. Well, again, some people
did that say between the Nova and Centurion?
Yeah.
So
it's not even as strong as a Centurion. That's crazy.
No,
to me.
It's if it's between the Nova and Centurion, it's better than the Centurion.
Oh no! I've read that backwards. Yeah, for some reason I'm reading Nova as Ursa. My brain and no worky. Yeah. Nova is the big tank. Yeah. Okay, so you're right. I'm wrong. Yeah. It's good. It's in a good spot. All right, okay. As Tang intended to be off-road vehicles, will the low ground clearance of this model limit traversal? Does the tread configuration of the Storm give it any advantage when hitting obstacles in rough terrain? I just want to state to me, I'm very sleep deprived and Algared 6, so if we're getting stuff wrong today, it's because we're fresh and shit. Right. The Storm has relatively good ground clearance, especially compared to the Nova, and his design always allows a much greater arrival departure angles without hitting the hole. Well, that's good. Will the bespoke size series weapon have the same upscale damage for its size, similar to other vehicles with a unique weapon? For example, the size 5 Slayer cannon for the Nova, in its current state of the game, does a shitload of damage, blah, blah, blah. Yes, like the Nova, size weapon doesn't truly follow other... Yeah, well, that's exactly what I thought it would be. Given its bespoke nature, it allows it independent tuning and puts it at a much higher alpha DPS than it would not... Yeah, which is what I suspected. What about barrel elevation and depression? Considering the Nova's barrel can depress far enough for it to aim a little downward, how does the Storm fare? Again, all stats subject to change. We don't want to expect the numbers at this point. However, it's safe to say the Storm's depression and elevation changes are significantly better than the Nova, allowing it to hit things on the ground almost directly in front of it and to the sides of the vehicle. To achieve this, the turret extends up a little when the vehicle powers on. Yeah, you can kind of see that in the images. It's got like a, yeah, look, even here you can kind of see it's kind of like it's on a neck, like a gooseneck type of thing. Yeah.
And that's got to help with being able to depress your guns even more. But again, as I said, you know, they can't really say because they haven't really put it in. Will the Nova improve? Probably. But yeah.
Yeah. The reason for a single size gun is because it's too much for a pilot to have multiples. But also, as we said, as it says here, you combine these two questions together. It gives you a more detailed answer. They can take a size 3 and make it act like a size 4 because it's bespoke. So it just allows them, by giving it a bespoke weapon, they can tune that to exactly what it needs to be, and it goes outside the rules of normal size 3s.
Yep.
And I think because they gave the Nova a size 5, they'll give the medium a 4 and this a 3. It kind of just makes logical sense. Does it have any additional ways to fight off smaller targets like infantry, since it doesn't have no, ideally, like modern life, you do not want infantry getting close to armored vehicles. Yep. It's got to have a weakness. If you for instance speed, speed. Drive away.
Run away, brave Sir Robin.
Is the driver in control of the turret restricted to the area in front of the vehicle, or does it have a proper 360-degree rotation? As full 360-degree rotation allow the views. That means you could literally be driving backwards and shooting. Much like you and I were doing in that Ursa, Algared, the Lynx, rather. Do you remember when we stumbled on that? That's when I kind of went, oh, this is what that's exactly what the Storm will be. If you remember that the other week. Yeah, want to see what that's like? Go get in the Lynx. You can actually get into the turret, start shooting on the turret from the driver's seat, mind you. There's a little button on the left that you can use, and then you can drive in the turret. That's exactly what the Storm will be, and that surprised me. I don't know if you've seen that video, but in that video, that's where I just discovered that on the fly. Spec state the Storm as a remote operated turret. Can the Storm fire while in motion, or does that? Yeah, and also yes, the driver can control the turret and move the rotation or stationary whilst moving. The view limits are constrained to the front arc of the vehicle. When remote view, you have a full 360. Yeah, so you're probably going to want to drive this in the turret. I think that's kind of what it tells me, Algared. Do you think any different?
Oh, I think, you know, yeah, you drive it in the turret and just hope you don't drive off a cliff.
I think you probably might be able to see a bit like more lower to the ground too if you're in the front view. So it might be better for like if you're trying to escape or something like that. But again, if you are trying to engage the enemy, you're probably going to want to stay in the turret and do both at the same time. So again, that'll be interesting to see how that pans out down the road. The brochure indicates that there is a personal weapon storage, but the picture suggests there are also personal storages in the rear track. Is this the case? Yeah, because the two doors fold. Who didn't see the animation? The two things fold out. Like, and so many of these questions are wasted, and this is why we need a downvote system, because half these would have been removed.
People would have said, check the video or check the animation.
Yeah, someone would have replied to him and said, yeah, here, man, look, here it is in the video, and it would have got downvoted, but you can't downvote things. And if you know how...
Or the person that removed it.
they need to get over this whole piling on problem. We don't want people to get piled on. That's why there's no downvote errors. That's how life is, man. If you say something stupid, you win stupid prizes. That's how you learn that's how you learn in life, from your mistakes. Just stop coddling people and get these. We need these downvote errors in, not insult. And by the way, the only other way to do that is to verbally tell them, "Hey, you're an idiot. Don't do that." But if you can anonymously just subtly downvote them, isn't that kind of actually kinda? It removes a lot of, like, that's why that place is so toxic, because you can't just go anonymous. Hey, dickhead, don't do this. You've got to actually tell them. A single size zero power plant seems very underpowered when compared to other vehicles. Will this be sufficient to power not only one vehicle itself, but also the shields? Bespoke anti-mortar cannon. How do you intend to support this? Should be a single power plant to prove sufficient to power. This is something we'll expand upon in the future, but in the upcoming resource network changes have given us the opportunity to revalue sizes and quantity. Yeah, so they'll just change them. That's obvious.
Yep.
Newer can seem especially under spec to existing vehicles, but in reality, they'll operate effectively as designed. Some vehicles will also have items reduced to be more in line with the upcoming changes. So that's just showing that there are changes coming down the road. That's why it's a 0 and not a size 1 or something like that. Again, use some logic.
And size 0 components are just vehicle components.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
yeah, that's it.
You know,
you're 100%. That's, you hit the nail right in the head there, mate. So,
you know, so to me, it's just it's just a vehicle component. Get used to it, and there'll be different grades of vehicle components, and they'll have different qualities and different stats, and I've heard them say that at least twice in the last 2 or 3 months. So, yeah.
All right.
Is there an ISC?
No, there isn't. I just checked. That's what I was doing. So we'll go into questions. Lemming, is there anything you want to add? Did the poll go off on? I know the poll went off on Twitch. So that's the problem when you do a Twitch poll. If you don't catch it, poof, disappears, gone. And we haven't had a poll on YouTube, so I'll do the poll on YouTube.
What was YouTube title?
I don't remember what he asked on Twitch. That's what I hate about Twitch.
Are we looking? Are they disappointed about no new shit?
Oh, okay, yep. I'll do the YouTube poll. That's fine. But can you give me can you send me the details of the Twitch one, please, just in the background, and I'll redo it for you on
Yeah, so you do that,
YouTube.
Lemming, and I'll start looking at some of the questions we've got.
Thank you,
All right,
Lemming.
so
Appreciate it.
we've gone that one. I've answered that one. I've answered that. Patch 44 says, question, is there an unannounced alien ship coming? Heard of one. We do believe it was a Sulian. We've seen it in the code, but no, there's no ship coming for Alien Week that we can see. That also answers a Sorrowless question. Will Vesulian drop today? Nova 42, with the alien ship pushed back to December, that's the Santucky Eye, could they still make the official release announcement? DYR? They could, but like the Santucky Eye has already been released and sold as a concept. So had that come out, that would have just been bringing out a ship from backlog. The new ship that we were expecting, the Sulian from Gattaca, that is a ship that from data mining seemed to imply that it was an industry ship of some form, given that Gattaca are the industry company of Vishion, if I understand correctly. But we don't see it. It could have been a red herring. It was interesting. I did see something where CIG had basically said they know 90% of the leaks that come out, and they're deliberate. So they know most of the leaks that come out or what's coming. So
yeah, it's getting harder and harder to tell, but we'll see. But I also think that they probably were planning to do something like that, and then it just didn't eventuate because of time reasons or whatever. But we'll see. You want to do the next
Never
question?
answered that question.
Yeah.
Lucky Charm says, still think BMM won't go over 1K. No, I think the BMM is going to end up being 890 pricing. So I don't think it'll go over a K. I think it'll stay around at 890 pricing. They might make it over a K, but alien tax versus luxury tax, same size ship, same similar types of things. I said 890 pricing, and that means they don't have to give it LTI. So feel free to add anything else if I say something, because I'm just going to try and
Yep.
whip through these.
Yep. I'm just
quick.
Yeah, go for it. I'm doing the poll on YouTube right now. So this is the exact. We didn't do this poll. This is all Lemming. So if you hate it, blame Lemming. But that's the one he did on Twitch. So I just want to get the same kind of stats from you guys that we got from Twitch, just so we can see where the community is sitting at.
So Shinobi Trip says, question, is there a referral bonus for Alien Week? Not that I've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen one either. And I don't think there was even one for Invictus, was there? There was...
Can't
recall. It was just before. It was during the free fly. There was one during the free fly, so yeah.
I think when there's a free fly, I think that's when you see a referral bonus, because the idea is get someone new to try the game, get them in on the free fly, they try it, and then they buy a game. And so if you refer them and they sign up, you get the bonus ship. Like, that's how it goes. Oddball's Hobby Channel says, Tumbril Storm QA, thank you. We've just looked at it. Interesting bits, especially on the last question. I didn't think the last question was that particularly interesting.
So that was the one that I'll just go back and read for you real quick. It's the one where it talks about the resizing of the components, essentially.
Yep.
So yeah, it was interesting. I'm gonna be honest. If you're not into the storm, that was the most interesting part of that Q&A, because it goes outside of the range of the storm.
Yeah, I suppose it does go. Like, for me, it wasn't it. I suppose it just shows the depth of knowledge I've got that I just take for granted. And I know that sounds like I'm blowing my own horn, but zero web components are just vehicle components. Don't worry about what components are doing at the moment. Seriously, everything's going to get rebalanced.
If you're worried about something that is a number or a stat, you're worrying needlessly, because they will change it. If they have to come out and say, oh, this size 3 weapon is not cutting it, all of a sudden it now... Okay, let's look at the ship to our left. Came out with size 2s. It is now size 3s. There's an example right there. They upgunned it because it needed it. It's that simple. And me and Al could go through back and pick, not 100, but we could pick several examples easily of ships that have...
Concept as a dual cockpit.
Yep.
Now, on our single cockpit. Why? Because design, it would have made it, a wider cockpit would have made it seem bloated. I don't know. You know,
even weapons themselves, Algared. Remember, they were a lot longer and they made them all shorter.
Yeah.
How would they change things to make it work? Oh my god. It's that simple.
The classic one that always fits with me is I think the freelancer, when people used to complain about the mail slot window, and they said, oh, do it this way, it'll work. And COG was like, no, it won't work. No, do it this way, it'll work. No, we've tried it, it didn't work. No, do it. And they did it. And then that was the beginning of the end.
That was the very first time I was sitting there on the forums going, don't do this, they're going to lock everything down. And since that day, it's just gone backwards and backwards, where they share less and less and less. And that was in 2013, 2014. And it has just everything that they share has got more and more restrictive as time has gone on. Because people don't understand game development and they're trying to back chair develop. And I'm like, you do this, they're going to close down. Up until that day, they shared everything. Every concept, piece of art, everything. And then because they trusted us up to that point, and then when they realized they went back and spent 2 days fixing it and it didn't work just to prove a point, that's when they realized, oh, we can't let these guys develop with us. They don't know what they're talking about. That changed everything.
Some of the things they did, like the Connie changes. The classic Connie change with the the P52 underslung.
Yeah.
I think that came. I'm pretty certain that originally came from the backers' redesign of what they
Yeah.
did with the Connie,
Yeah.
and they just made things that made sense in the Connie layout. The Connie layout just didn't make sense to anyone in the long run. You know,
What was it? Because it
the
was
crew at the front, the
well.
life pods were at the back,
So
and
you know I think for people that don't know, the original concept of the Constellation was where where the elevator is for cargo. You actually flew in, and it was a part of the cargo deck.
yeah,
That's how weird it was.
the cargo deck was your hangar. It was a
Yeah.
hangar / cargo deck / garage. So the thing I really did like about that, as annoying and frustrating as it would have been, is it actually made choices matter.
Yeah.
If you want to take the snub fighter, you had to sacrifice cargo. If you wanted to take the Ursa, you had to sacrifice your snub fighter or your cargo. You couldn't do both. You couldn't do all three.
Mm.
And that was a real.
I think it shows though that we need another underslung snub because it's the only one of its type right now. And when all that work to get that one to work, I think they need to utilize that in some other ships. Because quite honestly, if they went back and redid the Constellation now, you and I have talked about this. You would put the cargo bay right at the back of the ship where the Merlin is, and you'd probably have something akin to the Carrack's hangar on top of that. You and I have talked about this quite extensively because the whole ship has that weird lean forward thing because they've designed it so you can drive forward and out of the cargo bay, but because of that, there's no proper forward landing gear on the Constellation, and the only way you can do that is to move the hangar to somewhere else so you can have a landing gear there.
Yep. So yeah. So things change. Like if you're looking at the stats and going, oh no, it's not working, don't worry about it. And this is something Ben used to say as well. Don't look at what Bishop like now. Look at what look at what it's described as being. So look at what the goal of a ship was, not and how it's described, not necessarily what the stats are saying or doing. And I know that sounds cagey and cagey and all the rest of it, but it's no different from any other game. Like Lord of the Rings Online, I stopped playing that as often as I used to because every time they did a patch or rebalance, I had to go back and redo my characters because things had changed. When I was doing Dark Age of Camelot, the number of times my characters got rebalanced. I had a heretic, and heretics when they came out, they were absolute god on earth, and they got nerfed to bring them back into a more usable gameplay. They were still great, but they weren't as great as they were. And you hear that all the time in games with people, oh, my character's been nerfed, such and such been nerfed. Get over it.
Actually, this might be a really good one to do for a poll, Algared. On my break holiday that I'm going on, I am actually going to be spending the Sunday with Algared. So this is normally not a day that we stream on or anything like that, but maybe that's what it would be a very ad hoc stream. It'd be almost like a mobile phone stream, wouldn't it, Algared? Would it be just kind of me and you sitting on a mobile phone? I might Algared have a tripod or whatever. But yeah, would you guys be interested in me and Algared doing an in-person stream? So I might do a quick poll on that one. But we ended up with 40% disappointed on YouTube. Mr. Lemming, there's your data. 39% disappointed, 24% give BM merch, man. Whatever is 23, and don't add more to the backlog, 12%. So yeah, I think most people wanted something new, considering it's 2 years of no alien ships. But I don't know, it probably speaks to that whole thing we were saying about expansions. And someone did ask a similar question to that. They asked, sorry, his name was Tom. There we go. Tom Van Doren was asking the same kind of question I was saying earlier. Is there a lot more alien ships coming after the release of Squadron 42 involving storylines for other campaigns? That's very similar to my thinking, Tom.
We tend to think there'll be a campaign for the Tavara and a campaign for the Vanduul, or a Xeon and Banu. And I could see them fleshing it out, play a Banu, and you create a Banu character and do that. The thing I see working, the easiest way to work that is for the Devaran, though, because the Devaran generally are just already tied in with the human culture. So you do a Devaran, but you're trying to, you take it as your campaign is find out about my culture. That's your whole storyline of that campaign, and then you build up the ships and other stuff that go with it. All the other races, you're tied in with the language and needing to know the language, and that becomes a harder thing to
All right.
to work around. Donnie S had a question, which was which alien ships break the rules to buy? Pretty much none of them really break the rules of which ships to buy, but which ships help CCU change, and that goes down to the ones which have war bond CCUs at the moment, which are BMM.
I think what they mean by break the rules, Algared, is like the combat ships and stuff like that. That, you know, the sub 250 kind of covers it, but there's ones that break that. Like the Raelian's a really good one. You know, any that are not combat and under 250, I think that kind of covers the rule, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I suppose, but they're still, all the ships still have an alien tag. So,
agreed.
If you're looking for, if you're looking at a Raelian, you look at what it can do and carry, and you look at its price. Do an MSR or something else, and you'll probably find that it doesn't match up as well. But the aesthetics may appeal to you. So, in some sense, the aesthetics of the alien ships may trump break the rules. But if you're looking for ships that help CCU change, you've got the BMM that gives you a $50 saving at the moment. That's pretty big.
Okay,
Now,
so
if you're looking,
I
saw someone in.
Just real quick, Algared, it's about 84% of people want us to do an in-person live stream. So I think we'll be doing that on the day. We'll see what happens. But me and Algared wanted to play a board game in person too. So maybe I don't know. Maybe that's the next follow-up question. Do you want to watch us play board games? But we'll play a board game and answer stuff and questions at the same time. Maybe we could do both at once, Algared. I don't know.
Man.
That'd be an interesting challenge.
I'm doing two things at once. You know that.
Yeah,
why
maybe that's the challenge.
You hated it when we were doing the live stream and playing. And
yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm answering questions because I'd literally stop.
Yeah.
Where are you? I'm standing in the hallway because I've been logged out because of inactivity. Because I can't do two things at once.
That's a passion you and I share as board games, and so we thought, well, if we're going to meet up, we should really sit down and play a board game together because we just don't get to do it. So you know, I really, I think Algared, if you take some time off, I think eventually I'll get you to come down here and you can stay at my place for a week or so, and we'll just, you know, I'll take you around Tassie, show you the place and stuff like that. When you got some time off, and I don't know, we'll make some time, because I think it is easier for you to unwind here than for me to unwind there. But obviously, you've got a lot of commitments at the moment, so it might be a few years away. But yeah, definitely at some point we'll yeah, it's just how it is, man. It's fine. But you know, when you get some time, you know, and again, that's the other thing we should do, Algared. The beginning of next year, we should definitely make some time before that. So there's some.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to reconfirm things for that.
Okay, cool. But well, if that pans out, then so there's some bar citizens happening potentially in Sydney and Melbourne next year is what we're talking about. And Algared and I will be going to both of those. So maybe, you know, before that comes, I might come up and we'll spend a couple of days if we can before that, and we'll obviously have time during, but traveling with them not so much. So maybe we can play a few at your place beforehand, and I know there's a couple of game stores in Melbourne we can go to, and you can literally pull them off the shelf and literally play them. So maybe we can do that. But I think the group of people we're going to be with, we won't be the only ones, so it might be cool to just sit down and there's something about a board game, Algared. Right, and I think this is the appeal that I'll put out to people that don't play board games, is most people think of Monopoly. Monopoly is one of the worst board games ever invented. It is god-awful, right? But there is something about sitting down and physically looking at your opponent, or even if you're playing co-op, there's something about just being in person that you cannot replicate through a computer. You can hear, you do the voice thing, but the smell, the look on their face and all that, you can't get that anyway. There is this human connection you just can't get.
There's a difference between face-to-face role-playing and even, you know, online video cam role-playing. It's just, you lose so much.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the key things, like I do D&D every second Friday with my old D&D group, and we do it online, and yet it's nowhere near what it was like when we're around a table, because you'd have every so often you'd have your side conversation with your mate.
Yeah.
a bit
look,
like if you watch,
look, the
if you
way
watch,
there's a few comments saying board games is in boring. Like I cannot put it across to you. It is something about the older generation. We just have the patience to actually play some of these. But there are literally board games, and Algared will tell you, there are little simple games that you can play, and they take 5 to 10 minutes. And I've seen people that think board games are utter shit. Example is my brother. Remember I told you about the one with my brother? I sat down with my brother, and I was let's start out on this one. It's really light. It's a game that you can play in about 2 to 3 minutes. We ended up playing for 7 hours straight. 7 hours. That's how much him and his girlfriend got into it. And they didn't want to go outside that. They didn't want to try anything else. I'm like, but you trusted me on this one. Why can't you trust me on one of the other? They were like, this is good. I'm happy. I'm content. Because they'd be, and you talk to them, they'd been spoiled on Monopoly. Monopoly has done more harm than good to that space.
Yeah. No, there's lots of good games, and even miniature wargaming is in a sense a board game as well. It's just fancy chess.
Do you know Star Citizen as a YouTube category is larger than all of board games as a YouTube category? That baffles my mind.
That baffles my mind.
Yeah. The biggest board game YouTube channel only has 350,000 subscribers. That's the same size as Morph, I think. Morph is roughly in that ballpark. So yeah. So 100% of people on Twitch want to see the live stream, and it's about 89% of people on YouTube. So apparently all our haters are on YouTube. Is that how that works? I don't know how that works, but yeah, okay, we'll work something out like that. It will be a bit ad hoc. It'll either be on my phone or Algared's phone or whatever setup we can get. And I'm probably leaning towards the phone because Algared's connection is not the best at his place, but we'll work something out, won't we, Algared? We'll get something working, and even if we've got to go, into the city or something, we'll work something out. So we'll try and get that sorted for you guys anyway. But yeah, we don't get to meet up too much. I think we've only met up in person twice now. So yeah, and the first time we didn't really know each other. So yeah.
No, we hadn't. First time we'd never met each other in person. There you go, Zorbazorb Gaming, which is a kind of a miniatures gaming site. That's 121k. That's probably one of the biggest ones I know
of. The Dice Tower is the biggest one. I'll show you on this screen real quick. Not anyone else can see, but these guys here are good. 323. Yep. They're the biggest in the world.
Yeah.
Oh, that's loud. Yeah, they're the biggest.
And that's still minuscule compared to Star Citizen.
Yep. So yeah, it's kind of scary that there's an entire industry that employs people, multiple businesses, and yet just Star Citizen dwarfs all of it. It blows my mind. It just shows you the difference between digital and analog. I think essentially, like analog is dying essentially. But if you can sit down and play, it's like when something that some older people might be able to relate to is when you sit down at the dinner table versus like just everyone goes and does their own thing. There's something about sitting around with the family. It actually does something. So I don't know how to put that into words.
Yeah, and it's even different, like having a meal at the same time in a lounge room versus sitting at a dining table. There's a totally different mechanic.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Nova A42 on Twitch. She goes, "Friends sound great. Where can I get some?" That is the thing about board games and video games and just life in general. It is getting harder and harder to find friends because we are just not as socialized. We've gone into this app-driven society, and we've all disconnected from each other. Even COVID, man, like it made it very disconnected. So yeah, I'm striving for more of those personal connections than going the other way. And I've had a computer since I was 5 years old, and I'm completely revolting against them because I think where we're going is disaster. It's made us.
They are very bad for social interaction
and
and COVID showed that.
It's making us more isolated, isn't it? It's making us these little, almost like we're in cubicles, but we're not in cubicles. Like
I can recall. After the lockdown, coming back to school, and the interaction of the kids, the students with each other, just and even with staff, it was
Mm,
like I was just happy to see. You almost
mm.
you almost saw the development at pause. It was like it was
Yeah.
a real, social development skills were down the tube,
Well,
and
you'd see that more than most, wouldn't you? Because being a teacher, you'd almost be able to see pre-COVID and post-COVID
oh,
the way kids were.
yeah, it really was. It was just a weird situation to see that lack
Mm.
of development in terms of social interaction.
And
Um,
Paul's mentioned this too because he's a teacher as well. You both
yeah,
said the same thing. Like kids are just not the same they were. There's this huge like they didn't know how to act with each other because they'd missed those teen years.
oh,
You know,
those 2 years of
yeah.
yeah. So
Well,
yeah.
just
Anyway,
the whole simpleness of being around, the opposite sex type of thing, just it totally
yeah,
changed their social dynamic because they were kind of locked away. It's interesting, and it'd be interesting to see what effect that's going to have 10 years from now, like when they're in their 20s and stuff.
yep,
It's gonna do permanent damage. I really think it is, but we'll see.
yep.
Um,
Anyway, back to the question.
sorry, yeah,
So
we are tangenting a lot. This happens when we're tired.
it does, and it also is the nature of a talking heads radio
Yes.
broadcast type show, which I get used to it.
Yeah.
So Danny's question was, which ships break the mold? So we kind of answered that. And then which of these ships help with CCU guides? Any of the Warbond CCUs,
Yep.
and any ship, and even a CCU to any ship that fills in a gap
Yeah,
can help.
this might be your first sale. It might, so the CCUs are more important to you. You've got to look at the CCUs you have. That's a custom by custom basis.
Look
Yeah.
at where you're trying to get and what you're trying to get. Someone in chat was saying, I'm trying to get to a Perseus. Which CCUs will help me? Well, any of those. If you're trying to get to a Perseus $675 ship, any of those CCUs that are currently available
Yeah.
will get you. Will take $125 off the price if you're a
Yeah.
subscriber. $105 off the price if you subscribe, or $95 if you don't.
Yeah. It
That's
really
still a big saving.
yeah, it's such a case by case thing because we don't know what CCUs you've already got. So if you've got none, all of them. If you've already got some, go look at the ones that you've got and see what cross pollinates. Like for example, I got a bunch of the Hurricane ones before the Hurricane went up in price. So and the Santoki Eye is about to go up in price. So ones that go from Hurricane to the Santoki Eye are really good for me. There is no CCU for that, but I'm picking them up because when the Santoki Eye goes up in price, then I get the benefit because now I've got this connected chain,
Yep.
but I'm not getting the Defender because I'm getting that one instead. Do you know what I mean? So
Yep, and it could end up, the Defender Warbond CCU ends up being a bigger saving, but
that's how it is.
that's that gamble you take, and
Yeah.
so it's not just a cut and dry answer, but in short, any of those Warbond CCUs could be valuable to your chain.
So yeah, if you've got credits, that's probably another thing. I can hear Lemming screaming at me in the background. Yeah, if you don't have Warbond but you do have credit, Hurricane to Santoki Eye is a really good one to pick up. I picked up, I think, 6 of them. Because they're just credits. So if I don't want them, I just melt them back. It's not going to cost me anything if I've already got the credit sitting there. And if you're a long time backer like me, you've usually got a bunch of pool of credits sitting there anyway. And I had a bunch of, I must admit, Algared has well considerably with all the CCS picked up, but we had about $500 worth of credit that was on my account that me and Algared used to use to buy a ship for credit, review it, and then melt it, buy the next one, review it, melt it again and again. And now I think it's down to about $250 because of all the little things I've been picking up with it. Now that we don't use it as much. But yeah.
All right. So Zeroth has a question.
Mm-hmm.
It says, they said on CIG they were going to make the Polaris. What's your thoughts as to what capital large ship I'll make after Polaris based on the chain of dependencies? Polaris is an RSI ship, so any RSI ships.
They literally what we'd been talking about, didn't we, Algared? Like I kind of put that to you, and then you and I have kind of talked about that a lot. It looks like they're going to do multiple RSI ships, and they kind of came out and said that in it was the Q&A, was it the live one? But also the other one, obviously, that would probably be there at some point is coming back to the Banu Merchantman, but they've got to bring someone up to speed for that art style because the guy left. So I think the Banu Merchantman drops back, unfortunately, which I don't have a problem with, and I know you won't have a problem with. Later is better.
Yeah.
So I lean towards RSI. I think you'd be in the same
Yep.
ballpark, yeah.
And I think in any manufacturer, they've got lots of assets for already, and lots of all that bespoke work done in the background. They're going to be assets where they're actually in the companies or manufacturers they can bring in. It's going to be quicker and easier to get someone up to speed to build it, to do a ship. But again, if you've got new staff on, you don't want to chuck them onto on a large ship and say, "Here, go for it, just think."
And
you don't
the,
set people up to fail.
And the Banner Merchman is a really bespoke thing. Like there is no library for that. They've kind of stated that, like that every chair is different because they're grown and stuff. So you don't really make an asset library for the Banu Defender and the Banu series. It's really bespoke. And I think that's probably why we'll eventually see a lot more limited. So you get, with the uniqueness of the Banu, you also get a limited number. I think it's tit for tat because they just take so much longer to make. But that also means, in my eyes, it makes the Banu Merchantman one of the most valuable ships in the game because you can tell it's just had so much more work done.
Yeah, and it is a lot more. Yeah. It's a unique ship, and that's just like, I think even the Aurelian is going to be a ship that is unique just because it's got the Xeon scratching post.
Yeah, but I think you would agree though that they will take the Banu, the Zion art style, and that'll evolve out into other ships. And we know they've worked on other Zion ships as well, because remember that trailer for that ship with the moving thing, years ago, you and I looked at it, and then it never went anywhere else. And they showed it on IC. They showed that they were working on Zion ships. So they've already got some Zion language going. It's just a matter of rolling that out,
If I recall what I know from Squadron 42, from what I've seen, I know that the Zion are a part of Squadron 42.
Yep, the cargo ship is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep. So the Zion are part of the whole story of Squadron 42. So they've got those ships done. They've got Zion ships done and Zion assets done for Squadron 42. They don't necessarily have a Banu done for that.
Yeah, Monster Avery, that's exactly what he's talking about, by the way. Yeah. He just says that was the one that was broken on the bottom, wasn't it? Yeah. And it's also the one with the vertical thing, and it's got anti-grav stuff in it and a whole bunch of stuff, like you walk up the walls and stuff like that. So yeah, but that's a bigger cargo ship than the Aurelian, obviously. Yeah.
So Nova 42 said Alien Week is a week, right? It's not just a name. No, it's a week. And in game it is a celebration of first contact with the Banu.
Yeah, and some of the CCUs, like I know that one that the subscribers get, that actually lasts all the way to the end of the month, so it's 2 weeks in essence for that stuff. I do know that there were ships that were given to streamers and people like ourselves, and they told us that'll last to the end of the week as well. So they get what they're doing now is they're doing free fly events that are like a streamer free fly. So basically, it's a limited group of us that get access to ships. They don't give us the ships; they just give us access to fly them. So, for example, right now I can fly this with the 2 new alien skins, and I can fly like a Prowler and stuff like that. But then when the event ends, they take that free fly away. So it's a really simple way for them to allow us to show stuff off, but not have to give it to us, which I think is fantastic. So it works for everyone, because that's all we need. Me and Algared just wanted access to review them. We've got that now, so it's kind of brilliant in that regard. Algared always had access because he owns bloody everything, but I didn't. So it was.
Don't have all the skins.
No. So he's a little jealous about that, but I've got to have something to hold over you, Algared. You've got all the ships, for crying out loud.
Oh, I don't have it. Well, actually, in game, I've currently got access to the steel. I don't know why I've got access to.
Loaner?
Certainly,
it'll be a loaner. I'm sure it's a loaner. It was a loaner for something recently.
It may well be a loaner, but I certainly haven't gone out of my way. There's an upgrade pack that's got the steel in it, and I'm even avoiding getting the upgrade pack because I really don't want the steel. It's that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember reading it real quick. I'm just Googling this for you, Algared.
Yep.
It is the Spirit E1. You got a Spirit E1?
Oh, I do.
There you go. That's what's giving it to you. So yeah.
Spirit E1 gets me a
steel. That lines up, makes they're so similar, Algared.
In what world does a Drake piece of shit equate to a luxury
That's
E1?
funny.
Seriously, Saiji, get with.
Not only that, like it shows the price differential. That's what
Yeah,
$150 ship versus a $235. Yeah, something's out of alignment
Yeah.
there.
Give me a 400i as a replacement, or a
Mm,
300i, or something.
mm,
Oh, that is the most moronic, stupid, idiotic piece of shit loner idea that you've ever come up with. And I'm
mm.
sorry, whoever came up with that is a bloody moron.
Oh dear.
My rant is over.
That's all right. Don't rant too hard because I want to get more sick.
That's right. Sharpfall, why doesn't package? Yeah, we've answered that one already.
Yeah, next one.
Ericsson, why the Vandal ship, the Scythe, is not for sale. It's an alien ship because it's limited. The Scythe is only, they haven't made a Asperia version of a Scythe. The Scythes that are out there are actual
Proper Vandal.
off of Vandal.
I'm gonna be honest, Algared. How would you feel if they actually sold an Asperia Vandal Scythe? Yeah, I actually think they should. I really, really think they should. And if they were ever going to do something to older backers, is actually let them buy the actual Scythe again. I think that would be, you know, they always like that 2014 thing, how they, when they brought in the LTI thing, I think they go, right, well, you were here previous to that. You can get the older one, and everyone else get the Asperia one. That's where I think the line in the sand should be, because that's where it was meant to be.
I think they want to do the, you know, keep the uniqueness of a Scythe, and they want to keep that history. But we know that Asperia have been rebuilding ships for the Navy.
Yeah.
But after they rebuilt the glaive in law for, you know, Victor, great cousin Victor Hurston, the Navy.
The resemblance is astounding. Yeah, keep going.
You know, they said, we want you to. We got the Asperia boys to build them ships for their Navy to train on, and so we know they build them. I can't see the Navy using its limited number of Scythes to practice shooting and blowing up. And if they do, they're going to damage parts, and the Asperia boys are going to replace them and rework them. So
just for people that are not
logically, it makes sense.
Yeah, so just for people that are not aware, in 2014, that's when LTI was meant to end. LTI was originally given as to original veteran backers as a perk for backing early. Every ship after that was just going to have normal insurance. And it's just continued and persisted all this time because they've used it as a marketing tool to sell ships.
Yep.
It was never meant to exist to today, right? And I don't care about it. Algared doesn't really care about it. So there's no real perk for actually having back since all the way back, other than cheaper getting, you know, you got in early, you got it slightly cheaper. That's it.
Yeah. I just saw it in YouTube chat. Alexander says, "Ew, a steal for an E1." Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Finally got out of bed, did you, Sandgroper? You lazy SOB?
Well, he's a Western Australian, so he's
yeah.
You know, behind
Man of the desert. Man of the desert.
So, JB has a question. I have $150 600i Explorer CCU chain and a Lover Merchantman's.
Wow.
An extra $125 $25 war bond and $100 credit can get me to a BMA. Worth it for a mostly solo player.
So we said 600i.
Mostly solo player. I think that's his caveat there.
He's going from an Explorer though. My brain, Algared, is Carrick.
Well, he's looking at. Yeah, I could see that. I think he's looking at the ship and what it is and what it does. If it was still based on the original BMM, like the original concept of what the Banu were, and this being their generational ownership and all the rest of it, it would have been the Banu Explorer, the Banu combat ship, the Banu trader, the Banu. It was the Banu everything ship. That's no longer the case. I don't think so.
I think a short answer to this is initially and kind of like more now, like when it first goes into the game, it's probably not going to be the best solo ship, but I do think you could struggle to get through it. But eventually when the game comes online, you can have AI crew, you're going to have player finding system. So you'll be able to put a thing out and say, hey, I'm looking for X number of people to jump on my ship with me and go do this mission. You will earn this much as a percentage. People will jump at that shit because it's like, why would I want to do like shit in my Aurora and I'm going to get like, you know, might make $1,000 and it takes me 2 hours or whatever, but I can go earn 10,000 with you in the same amount of time. There are going to be people that just want to be social and play with other people. Yes, there are people that prefer to play solo. If you are one of those people, then obviously the Merchantman would not be for you because it is multi-crew. But if you are happy to play with other people, you just got to remember those systems are just not in game yet. You got to have enough forward thinking. Even look at a game like WoW. WoW started out where you had to manually go out and find people. Now it's got complete systems in play to link you across multiple servers to do raids. It's going to be the same thing in this game. Just give it some time. But they are far more likely to be in at release because they've talked about them previously than say something like WoW. So they'll probably have these in place ready to go. They're just not there yet.
And to go back to JB's question, look, if you're looking at going to a bigger ship and you're an explorer, I reckon you can't go past a Carrack because you look at the Carrack, you get the C8 and you get Nursa with it as well.
Go nuts, Lemming.
Where you just get a J12, you know, like that's to me is just nuts.
Yeah, thank you for the help. Sorry, real quick. Thank you for the help, Lemming. Yes, I did forget to change the title. Apologies. So Lemming's just updating the title on Twitch for us. Yes, thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Algared.
Thanks, Lemming. So if you want a BMM, though, yeah, it's worth looking at, but it's probably not going to be as good a solo ship. And any big ship where you need an engineer to run around and fix components and relay other stuff is going to make life difficult for anyone who's a solo player. So.
I think the simple question would be, the first question is, do you like playing with other people? And then the second question is, what gameplay do you want? This is a mini fix my fleet. I've just realized this is the same thing every time. It comes up every single time. Do you want to explore a ship? Do you want a cargo ship? It's not like if you were into cargo and in exploration, it just happens to be you're into both those categories, then the best value one is obviously in the Banner Merchantman because it's going higher, right? But the Carrack is kind of already out, right? So if you want to take what you've got as in the 600i Explorer, then go to the Carrack, right? If you want the exploration, go to Carrack. Don't go to a ship that you don't want, put it that way. But if you want that selling cargo ship, Banner Merchantman, you can answer that yourself, right? That's a lot of the fix my fleet stuff, believe it or not. Algared, you would agree with this, is we take information from someone and we just turn it back and ask to them. That's all it is. It's forcing them to confront themselves.
Why we say what professions you want to do? Because then we say, how does this fit in with this profession?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Then why have you got it?
Yeah, it's making them ask themselves the tough. It's making them ask themselves the tough questions.
Yeah. You know, which ship helps you? Does this ship help you do it? Yep. Okay. Why don't you have it? Oh, I don't know. Okay. How can you get there? It really is. I know we've just told everyone a program.
Yeah, that's fine. No, but I'm just like, I never forget that one to the day I think I die is, my favorite ship's the Reclaimer, and this guy's got like, what, $5,000 worth of ships, and he doesn't own a Reclaimer. Like, to the day I die, the first time I was like, what the f is going on?
Yeah. My favorite ship's a Reclaimer, and you look and you go, where's your Reclaimer?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't afford one. And you go, you've got all these, and you've said you don't like fighters, and these are all fighters.
Yeah, like melt these.
That type of thing. You go.
Yeah. But that's why this happens, because people get they get sucked in by the marketing. We see that a lot too. Like you can, you know, there are people you can say, oh, yeah, I've been in the game for the last 2 years, and you go through a look, and it's almost like every concept sale. They brought that. They just got sucked into the marketing, just brought everything all the way along. So yeah, it's to try and help people curb expense.
Okay, the next couple of questions were related to the Q&A.
Oh yeah, that, by the way, Lemming, that was the same guy as the Reclaimer. So Lemming's saying the best Inforunners, because our Lemming watches a lot of these live, like with us, because he's there, and there's also other, like, so one of the supporters perks from us is that you can sit and watch us record episodes live. And yeah, Lemming was there with us, and this guy, literally the same guy that with the Reclaimer, we were saying, all right, so you're going to melt this, you're going to melt this, and you're going to buy this. He was literally melting them as we were saying. We were talking about like melt when the final plan is done, and he's just melting them as we're telling him.
we're going, you could melt this and you could melt this and this, you know, we're just running through the
No,
things.
no,
"Oh,
no,
I've
no,
done
no.
it." No.
Just wait till we get the plan in place. Yeah, so it's kind of funny.
Sorry about that, guys. I missed the button.
That's all good.
So Andrew says CIG love wasted questions because they can pad out the Q&A with nonsense and skip. Yes, they do.
I'm sorry, I just want to answer a first-time chatter question there. So Critical Chai says, I practically buy every ship and then melt it so that I can get it later if it turns out to be something really I want. As long as you do it with that credit, that's fine. But if you're doing that war bond every time, it becomes a very expensive proposition. But yeah, I can get it from a buyback perspective. That's totally not a problem. But we're talking purely for cash, and that becomes very expensive very quickly.
I certainly used to do the buy with credit whenever, you know, back in the day when even credit ships came with the LTI for a concept ship. But yeah, they changed that, so it didn't quite do that.
So
yeah. Magvad says they don't add downvote button to Spectrum because Q&A would be full of useful questions. They don't. Yes, that's possible as well.
So we actually got an opportunity to talk to, oh man, his name eludes me now. He was the head mod. What is it? Knight Rider. Knight Rider. That's it, right? Knight Rider. And he literally said the whole reason why they don't have downvoting arrows is they didn't want people piling on. And the more you work through that, you more realize that's the entire problem with that forum. They need people to be to piled on, so they learn. Okay, that's life in general, you know. But they're talking about like a content creator gets piled on or something like that. But you need pile on. That's how life works. It's just that when you're doing it in a forum, like I wouldn't walk into a gladiator arena and go, "You guys all suck," because then the whole crowd would jump on me, right? You don't do that in real life. You're a bit more thingo. And actually removing those downvote arrows allows you to do that. You can literally walk into a room of 10,000 people and bitch slap everyone in the face and get away with it.
You don't want to pile on, but you do want to give people constructive criticism or even say, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing inherently wrong with saying that you're in error. There's nothing wrong with even making mistakes. That part of learning. If you're not making, if you're always just operating in a series where everything's nice and comfortable, you're not learning. You're just coasting.
Yeah. You cannot cuddle people. Like life doesn't work that way. So I literally said to them, I think you should do a trial period. And I said like 3 months, but you could literally do it in 3 weeks if you had to, and just see how much the toxicity in that forum goes down. I reckon it would leave almost overnight if there was downvote arrows, because half the problem is people get on there and they're infuriated. Now, if I'm infuriated and I can just downvote arrow, I'm done. Don't have to say anything. You're an idiot. You're a dickhead. I say it to myself. I don't have to actually type it. I just, you're done, right? Yep. And I can tell you right now, the downvote arrow has become the facepalm emoji of Picard on the forums, or the no, or something like that. So it's all emojis, but it doesn't actually carry any weight anymore. So people get so frustrated, they start doing this. And that's why it's so much more toxic on there. That there is no way to vent to say no. And the other thing is, instead of that ballooning out and you have this huge negative thing sitting on the page, it just drops off the page and no one responds to it anymore. So that pile-on they're talking of 5,000 people downvoting arrow doesn't happen because it's already off the front page. As soon as it's off the front page, no more votes. It's gone. It's into the pages of history. So their whole theory doesn't make sense. And I'd have to say the most toxic places I've ever met on the internet are places that don't have a way to tell people that they're wrong. It's just that simple. So yeah.
And unfortunately, it's the age of entitlement.
There's a new video out. Apparently, there's a new Inforunners video out. Lemming, what video is this, Lemming? What are you linking? Is this just one from today? Oh, there's this. Oh no, it's what do you call it? It's
the ISC.
ISC. Thank you, Lemming. Excellent. Okay, let's go look at that.
Before we do that,
yes, please.
MPCDN says, if I buy a month subscription, can I buy all the past items on sale? Yes.
Yes, you can. Highly recommend it too. Very so usually I used to about once every 12 months I would subscribe just to buy them. Yeah.
Yep.
Scribing a little bit more now because I'm buying things for not a tuner and stuff like that. So I got like
I've got just a Lemming question or
Mm.
comment on the Q&A. He says, I'm shocked the question wasn't, why doesn't it have a quantum drive? And I got a chuckle at that. Thanks for that one, Lemming. It gave me
right. Okay. Let's get it switched over. So I got to switch Algared over so he can see this one.
Do the whatever.
The sound.
Mute it.
Yep.
Sound.
Oh, I'm doing that right now. Thank you for reminding me. Appreciate it. So this is so
And
you
I'll try and
guys
put it back afterwards.
Yeah, please. Filters, noise suppression is off, so these boys can hear. We are going to the browser. Alrighty. Me and Algared coughing in unison. There's something wrong there. Right, here we go.
Hey everyone, it's Alien Week, that yearly celebration of all things Vanduul, Tavaran, Xion, and Banu.
Don't forget to sacred Thack. Don't forget to sacred Thack. Don't forget to sacred Thack.
And to celebrate here on ISC, we thought we'd check in with members of the ship team currently working on the latest Xion fighter, the Santok Yai. Santok Yai.
The Cathak are the aliens behind the Zion, are they not, Algared, from memory?
That is correct.
Why is it? Wonder if that's a little bit of an Easter egg. We'll see. Let's see.
It's pronounced just like it's spelled. But because we just got off 2 weeks of ship segments with Invictus just a few weeks ago, I figured we'd do things a little different this week and call vehicle art director Elwin Batchelor Jr. and lead designer Stephen Hosmer directly in a special Calling All Devs edition of Inside Star Citizen. Because
this will be good because that's the best show they've ever made. All right.
Yep. And also, Elwin is also one of the staff that were recruited as a result of Next Great Starship.
Absolutely, I do like him actually. I do. He's one of the devs on my list that I do want to meet. So yeah. One of
the things I remember from Next Great Starship that really resonated and said this guy knows what he's on about was just the number of concept drawings he used to do for everything he was doing.
Even just the weapon he did right at the start was amazing.
Oh, that weapon was absolute.
He was a solo person that carried himself against multiple teams.
And he was really good. But just the number of diagrams and things and concepts he did as he was, you could see his thought process in his art. Always loved his work. So yeah.
There's a very American title I've just realized. It's called the Santok Yal.
Santok Yal.
I'll give him that one. I'm not a big pun guy, but I'll give him that one.
Sometimes. Now, I understand we already have them on the line? Yes? Great. So, Elwin, Hosmer, why don't you give us an update on where we're currently at with the Santok Yai?
Real talk? We just failed our gray box review. That's real talk for you.
So where we're at with the Santok Yai right now is we just went through our review gate for gray box, which we failed. And it's not catastrophic. The main reason for that is because we haven't quite figured out how we're going to be doing and designing the cockpit dashboard yet. All of the exterior has been basically gray box modeled out. We have the majority of the animations finished.
It's the first time I've ever seen the back of it, Algared, is in the undercarriage there. That's interesting. Yeah. Sorry. That's me personally looking at it anyway.
I'm actually currently repolishing the landing animation and in-flight animation and a couple of other really cool things that we haven't shown before. But yeah, the bulk of the geometry has been modeled out, and we're about to get ready to start doing material work and palms and all that good stuff to make it look beautiful. But unfortunately, we can't quite move on to that stage yet until we really nail down what it is that we're going to be doing with the dashboard.
I mean, that's part of the process. We want to make sure that everything is dotted and crossed. What's the expression? I don't know.
Cross the T's, dot the I's.
Cross your I's and dot your T's.
Cross your T's, dot your I's. There you go. We want to cross our T's and dot our I's.
I need to run this back a bit. Tell us that failing gray box is a semi-normal thing.
It isn't the most common thing that happens. I would say it happens less than 50% of the time. I don't have exact metrics for that, but in this case, it's just there's a lot going on right now that we're working on in the background, and we weren't able to get the level of support that we were hoping to get in order to really iron out.
So that working in the background, that's Squadron 42, would you say, Algared?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think so.
The plans for this specific asset, but it happens from time to time. We know exactly why it failed. Everything else on the ship works. This is just one very specific issue that we have to deal with.
Oh, we fail them all the time. Basically, there's something that's always just, needs to get fixed or pointed out, and what we do usually is we'll afterwards we'll post videos, post screenshots, and be like, hey, here's this thing that was wrong, we fixed it, can we pass now? Do we have to have another meeting? We might have to have it run through it again, but usually it's just minor things.
100%. Yeah, I mean, and we almost got the pass, but it's just there's too many unknowns from a visual standpoint to really move forward in a comfortable way. So it worked. The review gate worked. It blocked us from putting in something that's unfinished, basically. But we tried. We should have probably rescheduled it because we knew that was going to be missing and there was no way we would have the time to get it in on time. But hey, man, sometimes you got to see what you can get away with and realize you can't, and then go back to the drawing board.
Don't say drawing board.
Well, it's not the drawing board. That's true. We're not going back to the drawing board, but we do have quite a bit of design work that we have to establish. What will be cool, though, is we do have a few ideas already for what we want to do. Hopefully it doesn't take us more than a week and a half to establish a direction, and then another week and a half after that to actually actualize the asset. But it'll be nice because this will then establish the look and feel for Alpoa specifically, right? Because we do have different manufacturers.
The other thing I've noticed too, Algared, I don't know if you picked up on it, it doesn't have 3 guns anymore. They've made the one on the bottom into 2.
Yeah.
Even within the alien lines. And so we want to make sure that we differentiate Alpoa, so that would be the Scout, now the Santok Yai, and any future Alpoa ships from any other Xi'an manufacturers that we might be working on. So this will help us establish that look and feel for the dashboard specifically, and we will want to retroactively then add that to the Scout as well.
Name another company that casually discusses failing internal reviews. Go ahead. I'll wait. Assuming, of course, that this episode even airs. At least it's honest.
It's always awkward. Every single time.
So, besides having to figure out a new dashboard, I assume everything else is going well? What do you like so far about the Santok Yai?
I like the aesthetics and the way that we've kind of made the wings and the thrusters work, because the thrusters with the Fury, we actually got working thrusters where they actually spin forward and they retro with the actual main thrusters. So I was getting to mess around with the thrusters and how they worked and tuning them and trying to figure out how far can I take this? Can I make them go every single angle under the sun, or should I be restricting it? Should I change it so when it's in landed mode and it's in the more compact mode, should they still be able to go in every sort of direction, or should I restrict that more? So I was just getting to mess around with that was pretty fun for me.
I think the thing that I'm having the most fun with at the moment is how far we're really pushing the anti-grav tech that Xi'an have. So that's a common thing. That's going to be a common feature across all Xi'an ships, regardless of manufacturer. We sort of identified that as a core pillar of Xi'an technology. And so regardless of manufacturer, they will all have that. And then there's a couple of other things that we need some engineering support to do, but will really sort of bring the asset to life in an interesting way. We're hoping to get a lot more movement on the wings as the ship kind of moves around. So just the basic idea of making the vehicle feel like a living, breathing creature as a whole. That's a thing that's super fun. But it's hard, man. We need a lot of support to get that working. And if we can get it done, though, I think Alpoa is going to be a very unique manufacturer, because I think it's going to feel very different than everything else we have. Also, there's a lot of times there are things that I think are very easy to do, and then I'll speak to an engineer and they're like, actually, that's fundamentally different than the way ships work. And I'm like, oh crap, okay, well, I guess I got to figure out another way to do it. The most fun part, honestly, about the Santok AI just in general is we are trying a lot of new things. So we're stepping into areas that we haven't done before. And so there's a lot of risk involved with failing, essentially, where it's like, okay, we might try something and either it doesn't turn out well, or internally people don't like the way it looks. Or
That said, though, that is how you get the best new type of things. If you don't research and explore, you never get to those. You know, if you don't try, you never make it, type of thing.
That's right. If you don't, it's a bit like operating in your comfort zone, a bit like learning.
Yep.
If you don't try something outside of a comfort zone or something new, you don't know if it's going to work.
Yep.
And trying something new, you're risking failure. Yeah.
Same thing with look at SpaceX. I think anyone that's following SpaceX at the moment, they just blew up a massive rocket, you know, type of thing. But they had to do that to get the data so they can build the next best one. You know, we're not doing that. We're building a space game, but you just alliterate. You've got to stuff up to move forward, and that's just how it is. So yeah, I'm all for it because it makes much better designs and much better games. Except money people don't like to do that. They don't like to. They just want the one thing, and they want it to work, and that's it.
And I know people hate it, but that's the That's the thing that CIG has. That's the thing that our support as backers has given CIG, the ability to be able to say, it's not working, let's experiment, let's try something else. And I know it's a pain in the butt. I know it takes time. But yeah, actually I was I was just looking at, I saw an ad for Starfield the other day, as I was clicking for YouTube. And the interesting thing was Starfield was apparently 25 years in the making.
Yep. That's true.
So
actually, it's their first new IP in 25 years. Is the other thing as well.
But they say, hey, it took us 25 years to get here with the stuff, and people complain about Star Citizen taking 10. You know, so I just thought, you know, yeah. Anyway, that's just me.
Apologies to Elwin for making it look like he's just seen his favorite bit of food rock up. Apologies.
Hey, it's better than some of the looks we've had.
Yes, that's true.
But,
welcome to the club, Elwin.
we can't actually do it. Like, there's so many of those questions at every turn with the Santok AI, but we've been creeping forward, and overall the asset is looking awesome. I'm just hoping we can cross that finish line to like the full vision that I have.
I believe in you, Elwin. Thanks for your time. So yeah, that's a look at the current progress of the Santok AI working its way through the ship pipeline for an intended release later this year. And while we've got the ship team on the phone, let's see if we can get an update on a ship that's finally making its long-awaited debut in the upcoming Alpha 320, the Hull C from Musashi Industrial. Hey, John Crew, are you?
That's the first initial we've got of that Algared. We suspected, hadn't we? But that's the first time we've actually got kind of official confirmation, 320.
Mm-hmm.
There?
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. The Hull C.
Yep.
This thing's been in development for a while. What's been going on, man?
Well, how long have you got?
Try to keep it under 2 minutes.
Okay. Hull C, for those that don't know, is like the big 18-wheeler of the Star Citizen universe, designed for transporting bulk cargo around the stations and between solar systems.
That's a new texture as well, Algared.
That's looking really nice.
Yeah, very slick. It almost, you can even see that they've put new lines into it. That is all updated. The whole body's done. The panels have gone. They've taken that 1930s style and pushed it forward.
Ditched it.
Yeah, they almost ditched it.
That's looking really sweet. I like that.
Me too.
Anyone's got a Hull C is going to be really happy with that.
Still got the same shape language, but the textures have changed. They've updated the textures, and they've gone away from those panel lines. I reckon the same thing will happen to the Freelancer, honestly.
See those top and bottom, the dorsal and ventral things there? They look like tractor beams.
Yes, they are, mate, because they've got the little clawy thing. Yeah, I agree with you. For loading and unloading. Awesome. Yep. That's a new thing as well.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have to unpack that in a bit. All right, we'll keep going, but yeah, that. Chef Kiss, good work.
We started it.
There you go, Algared. You asked the question.
I want to say
made the
5+ years ago.
Mm.
We got so far on the art and design side, probably early grey box, and then the sheer amount of technical challenges with this ship became apparent. We put a pause to it. I thought we'll come back. The teams that need to help us have more important things to do at that point in time. There was object container streaming going on, so we're like, that's more important. We'll sort that out. We'll come back to it. And the last year or so, we've come back to it and had to deal with all those big technical challenges for the ship.
And how's it doing today? What can folks expect?
You can expect the ship working as we intended it to be when it was concepted. So it's quite a unique ship in the game. There's a lot of moving parts literally on it and some tech in there that you've never seen before in any ships. So primarily the hurdles revolved around that central spindle section that you can walk through whilst it's doing those animated states. We've essentially got two parts of the ship that move independent, or they're animated together, but they're independent parts of the ship, and a new way of loading cargo onto the ship.
People are going to lose their mind, Algared.
The fact that you can actually walk through it while it's actually animated. That's the type of thing that really does set Star Citizen apart from anything else I've ever seen.
If that's what they've got here, imagine what the Zion's going to add and all the ships that come down the line.
Yep.
Talk to you about that. So one of the big questions since this thing was first introduced is how the cargo loading and unloading is going to work in Alpha 320. Who can tell us about that?
I think we can probably get Chris Tanks on the line. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, Jared. Excuse me. Hi.
Hi, Chris Danks.
Hi, Jared.
So how does cargo work for the Hull C in Alpha 320?
So in Alpha 320, the Hull C behaves as we expect it to. When it's extended, when its cargo arms are out, it can't land. So it can't take cargo in the normal sense that any other ship that takes cargo does while it's landed. So you go to your cargo terminal, you buy as much cargo as you want, you set it to the Hull C, but the system recognizes that it can't spawn the cargo while the ship is landed. So you get in your ship, you fly it out of the hangar, and then contact ACC again. That is when the ship realizes, oh, I'm out of the landing zone now, I'm ready to take some cargo. So you extend it, contact the ATC, and the cargo will spawn on your ship then.
Does this thing fit in any hangars?
While it's collapsed, it'll fit in the large spec hangars. When it's extended, it doesn't.
So just for reference, that's things like the Caterpillar, the 600i, things like that. Yeah, Hammerhead is another one.
Fit in any hangar we have at the moment.
You can dock it though.
It can be docked at any station.
Has anybody tried to dock it when it's fully extended?
Oh, I mean, you would hit the extent of the cargo long before your landing gear touched the ground. It would not be pretty. Well, I mean, somebody will have done it, and it will have been a magnificent explosion, but I wouldn't recommend it.
All right, so we've been looking at images of the new Hull C. It looks fantastic. Which one of you is going to talk about how it looks?
Probably Ben.
You don't have Ben back here, do you?
Hello.
Take a seat, Ben.
Hello, Jared. How are you?
There's no way they're letting me do this with this episode ever again. Ben, talk us through it. The Hull C looks great. It's been a while getting there.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
So as John mentioned, yeah, it's been in development for a while. We kind of stepped on it and stepped off it, depending on what tech we needed. I think, in our game we talk a lot about kind of gold standard, but really with the Hull C, it's kind of like current standard. So what we want to do is make sure that when we release the ship visually,
That's updated as well, Algared. Look at all the changes from the Staff era to that. Like, it's got modern reconcepting, the smoother curves. They've even angulized a lot of the like they're perfectly curved on the Staff era. This is like angular in some places, which I really like.
Yeah, you can see that this will also be the language they put into the Staff era when they rework it. So
I'd agree with you on that, mate. Absolutely. I really like that, man. I'm digging this new. It's more towards the Mirai. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it picks up more about
And I think I just
melding of Xeon tech,
Yep.
and human tech. So Maybe it's just me. It just got that kind of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
always
like the,
yeah, I always thought it would have to be a bridge between humanity and Zion somewhere in the middle, and it does look more like that now because you've got those angular things on the Cartwheel and the Santoki Eye.
now, based on what they were saying, what Elvin was saying about the Santoki Eye with and the Xeon ships with the anti-grav stuff being their signature key, it'd be interesting. Miss ships, how much of the or Xeon anti-grav tech they incorporate and use.
Do you
and
remember
what
the?
impact that will have on ships? Because I can remember the Odyssey apparently has a Xeon gravity generator.
Do you remember the elevator that they showed on the IC for this, and it went down to the ground? What if it was a Zion elevator?
Yep, it's conceivable, but
Yeah.
so they're types of questions I've got with MISC going forward, and
Yeah.
will I get the answer to that? Probably not in the short term, but
No, not in the short term, but you will get them. You just have to be patient.
eventually.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
It ticked all of our kind of current processes, and it kind of really it was on par with everything else that we put out now compared to where it was kind of back in the day. I think some of the other kind of updates we've had to do to kind of maintain it over the years is just the kind of like the simple things like we now have a lot more interaction in the ships, which we never had back when it was first started. So making sure all the panels are accessible and open and close and animate, making sure the dashboard's all interactive and all those fun things that everyone's used to now.
What are some of your favorite parts? What are things that people should look out for visually?
I think, to be honest, the ship is a very industrial ship, and it really kind of feels that way. There's some like little things that I just love.
You notice that door handle? That looked awesome. Because that eventually will be a thing. You'll walk up and the handle, your handle will go out and...
Like the main kind of airlock entrance into the ship feels really big and chunky and strong, which I think is needed on something so industrial. And that kind of industrial language kind of flows throughout the ship. I think my kind of main favourite place is engineering in the rear. The whole rear of the ship is kind of dedicated to really encompassing that idea that you are on a big workhorse. There's big engines, there's massive pipes. It feels really kind of like nice and moody and a little bit dangerous. And I think that's kind of really helps sell what's going on the outside of the ship, but inside.
Well, that all sounds great. So,
Algared, I really like that aesthetic. Like a lot. A lot.
I'm just thinking, I've got several of these, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm kind of jelly in a way. But yeah, I'm now eyeing that Odyssey more than I thought I was.
Yeah.
What did we learn this week?
Design language through. Whew.
Yep.
Well, we learned that the Santoki Eye is still making its way through the ship pipeline for an intended release later this year. What are you doing? That the whole sea looks great, and it's intended to arrive in the upcoming Alpha 320 with modified cargo loading and unloading. That inviting people into your ship and calling people for an interview less than an hour after they fail their go-no-go is either the best thing or the worst thing that you can do, depending on your point of view. And that it's Alien Week, and you should check out the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website and socials for all the various promotions, activities, and contests that usually go along with it. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee with Chris, John, and Ben. Thanks for exploring the process of game development with us, and we'll see you all here next week. Almost certainly back to the regular format.
I'd rather you stick with the current format.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, wait.
I quite enjoyed the
Wait.
So, I'm just gonna get going.
Cheers, Sarah.
Aye.
Bye.
That's it? Damn.
I don't know. I feel like they're getting less and less funny and a bit more forced. which makes them unfunny, but yeah. Alrighty. Got another question for me, Algared.
The art team at the end looked a bit like AI that had been almost standing on chairs, and
Yes.
but yeah.
Yes, it did. All right.
But I'd much prefer to see that calling all dev style.
Yeah.
More often than not.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess it was a bit weird because he did it in person as well, but that's fine. I got no problem with it in person or that. It's the information. It's like what we do here. Like we're not big and flash, and we don't edit our stuff. It's all about the information. It's the facts.
Yeah.
Just the facts and the stats.
Yeah. All right. So Tom Van Doren says, "Is there a lot more alien ships coming after release of Squadron 42 involving storyline of a campaign?"
That's the one that I kind of highlighted before. Yeah, I think there is. You can answer that one.
I think there are. I think there's possibly more we know there are more Vandal ships. We know that are in a storyline. Whether we'll see them available to us in game is another thing. We know there are more Xeon ships because apparently they're in the storyline. Whether we'll see of those in game, can't tell you. I don't know if there's any Tavaran or Banu. So yeah, it's possible. Will they have other storylines for campaigns for the Tavaran or Banu or Xi'an? We speculate that will be how they'll introduce you to be able to races down the track. Because hey, it's a money spinner. People want to play the alien races, so why not do it? But yeah. John, do you expect the BMM to become a limited hull in the future if it crosses the 750 threshold? And that's 750 AUD or UAD.
What's the question? Do you expect the BMM to become a limited hull? No. Not 750. I think what he's alluding to is things like the Pioneer Algared, right? Because that shouldn't be kind of limited. I think it shows that they were unsure of what that ship was going to become. Like we know it's kind of moved from a base building to a manufacturing, and I think when they figure out what that is, they've come back to it and worked that out. I think it will become a normal ship, and you will be able to CC. Don't quote me on that, but I think eventually you'll be able to CC to it.
And I think that's a fair call. Like they put the ship out. They originally was going to be base building. They've changed the way they're looking at the ship. They're changing the way they're looking at the whole approach of what they're doing with the ship. So they can't even say look at what the description of a ship is to work out what it can do. They haven't worked that out, so they're not going to sell it again. Is my understanding. Will it be an awesome ship for those who've got it? Yeah, when they've sorted out, will they sell it again? Most likely. But will the BMM go down that track? I think when it goes higher, it'll become more like an 890 jump in that sense of being available. It'll be available at certain times of year, and then it's just available. So, but I could be right. I could be wrong.
Algared, I really want to go get another cup of tea. I need another pick me up.
You're gonna get a cup of tea, and I'll see if I can go.
What I'm gonna do though is I'm wondering if I should just transfer over to the wireless headphones and talk about the wireless headphones for a little bit. But you'll have to form me the questions. Just give me a minute. You take the next one.
All right. So, question: Hopium theory. Maybe they will release a concept with ISC. But, well, if you're after a new concept ship, that's possible. New alien ship with ISC. Oh no, Inside Star Citizen. That's ISC, isn't it? Well, they didn't. So it was a nice thought, but I did like the ISC with the L1.
Oh, Algared, I just realized this is not going to work because no one can hear us right now.
Well, that didn't work. Yes, you've ended the
stream.
stream.
It won't work because they won't be able to hear you. I just realized my mistake. Hang on. All right, so that second that I switched over, they wouldn't have heard you. Let me try it this way. They can still hear you now, Algared. You're fine.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty. Right. Can you guys let us know in chat if you can't hear me in Algared right now? In fact, you'd be hearing me as an echo. There we go. I know what it was. It's because I muted that. I stuffed up and clicked the mute button on that. But you should be able to hear us now, yeah?
Yeah, you're really echoey and loud now.
Wait, I can't hear you, Algared. Hold on. Try again, Algared. Speak for me.
I said you were really loud and echoey.
Uh-oh. Try again, Algared.
Yeah, still echoey.
I cannot
I
hear
think
you
that
for
might
some
be just the
reason.
headset you're using. I don't know. You've stuffed
Wait.
something. You broke it.
Nope, it's fixed. I can hear you. I just got the wrong headphones on. So what happened was I accidentally muted the sound on that. So I just realized we've been talking for like 5 minutes and no one could hear us. So.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed they still stayed.
No, I think we've lost about 30 people on YouTube, but that explains a lot.
Well, there you go. Apologies to everyone.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I thought you guys could hear me because you were saying, yeah, all good, can hear us. And so I just walked off and I wasn't looking at the screen, obviously, so apologies. But yeah, long story short, we were talking about Starfield. We then started talking about Cyberpunk, and we were talking about how like Eldris Elba and Keanu Reeves are in that, and basically Squadron 42.
Yeah, so it was RP's question, do we think Starfield from Bethesda will put a bad taste in players' mouths and give a negative look to development of Squadron 42 and Star Citizen? And my view is no. Like, Bethesda have come out and said, this is 25 years in development. They're claiming that game, their Starfield game, has taken them 25 years to get to that point. You compare that to Star Citizen, where we know, even at the earliest date, we're talking 2012. Star Citizen have said, you know, hey, we didn't really start developing until 2014. So you're looking at half the time. And I think, from what I see, Star Citizen is a better game. In my opinion, I've seen what they've got for Starfield, and me, big deal. Who gives a rat's? It's Fallout in space. If you like Fallout, awesome, go for it. If you don't like it, like me, it's nothing for you. Yeah, it's got some great gameplay options. It's single player, so what?
Yeah. That's it at the end of the day. Single player.
It doesn't have the star appeal of, you know, Squadron 42. You know, people lost their crap over Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk, and was oh, look how awesome it is. It was just Keanu Reeves in a green screen in a mocap suit doing mocap. We'd seen that type of stuff with Mark Hamill and John Rhys-Davies and Gary Oldman in 2014, 2015.
I'd probably argue, though, that Keanu Reeves is probably a bigger star than almost any of the ones in Star Citizen, but I would argue combined they're not.
Well,
as in combined they're bigger. Yeah.
Matter of opinion. Like, you know, people are going to like. I'm not necessarily a bigger fan of Keanu Reeves as I am of the other guy. So for me,
that's true.
It depends.
Other people prefer other people. You know, that's absolutely. But I think also having more actors is more appealing because then you can find the person you do like. Yeah. So yeah.
Like Rona Mitra is in it, you know, and others. There's so many as in Star Citizen that just it's almost a who's who of media. So. Yeah, people will have a bad taste because they'll say it's taking so long. But when Bethesda is saying it's taking them 25 years, well, no. How can people have a bad taste in their mouth? In fact, if anything, it gives Star Citizen a better jump because they're saying, hey, well, we're not 25 years in development yet. Yeah. Why don't they do skins for Blades and the Glaive? It's a question for Kayla Lau.
Because there are new versions of the Blade and Scythe and all that coming.
Yep. That's basically it. Well, they've redesigned them. You can actually see that in the art they put on the screen. Even the art I think we saw for Alien Week.
See if I can bring it up for you, Algared.
Yep. You know, so you've got that type of thing. So. Yeah, and if you want to reshare the screen, that would be great.
Oh yeah, shit. Sorry, my bad.
That's okay.
Yeah. So Here you go. It's like, here's a new one here. So they put one up on Twitter. And this is a little trailer or a GIF.
Yep.
And it won't let me go make it bigger. But yeah, there you go. There's an image. So that's the new scythe, and it looks completely different from, if I go back to the old scythe. This is not the scythe, but it's more like this. So it's completely changed in its aesthetics, quite drastically. So yeah.
Yeah.
And I just realized I closed that and I didn't bring it up for everyone to see. Oh dear. Right, see if I can open that again and I'll put it across so these guys can see. All right, here we go. This one. So that's it there. That's the new looking scythe. So it's changed quite drastically. Alrighty.
All right, so Sorreless says, is it certain that we won't get a new alien ship this alien week? No, nothing's certain, but it doesn't look like it.
That was one of the other things we talked about too, didn't we? Yeah. The only thing consistent about CIG is how inconsistent they are. And what's that? The name of the ship? The only constant.
Yeah,
is change.
Because the only constant is change. And I think that's the motto of the ship as well. So
yeah.
Waffle Insanity says a question. Since I was saying the Raelian is going into production within a year, is it safe to assume Vesulian will have an interior as well?
If it is an actual thing, yeah.
If they bring it out, yes. It's an industrial ship, and I expect it will. And to me, like my starter, Is There a Hero account, I actually got rid of the Aurora, and I've picked up I actually bought when the Cutter came out, I actually got rid of the Aurora starter pack and picked up the Cutter starter pack because it gave my character LTI. But it's a better ship for a starter ship. And the only reason I say that is because it's a ship you can actually get up and walk around in. This is a game where you're not the ship. And so you want your starter ship to be one which highlights that, but shows that ability to walk around your ship while you're flying.
I've just had a realization, Algared. That SCL was a pivot. Or ISC was a pivot, because he said an hour after the meetings, and they were in person, it was kind of quick and off the cuff. They did something that they knew they could do quick, like a calling all devs. I think they were going to have a ship and it was pulled. Do the math. Add it all through. Quick rush job. Something was changed last minute.
And then, even pulling John and the other guy. I know it was a bit cringy the way they, someone called John and they just appeared on the set. It was cringy, but it was also
even things like, oh, we'll be back, they'll never let me do this again, back to our regular scheduled program, because it was off the cuff and quick.
I would like them to do more of that though, but
yep, same here.
And I suppose Disco didn't like it because it wasn't as polished as he would like it to be, or as managed as he would like it to be.
Yep. But again, managed, you don't have those random things that break out and be interesting.
And even the comments when to Elvin's comments, you can't say that. Well, I'm sorry. You asked us a question about our grey box. Well, we failed. This is why we failed. You don't want to talk about your failures, but failure is part of learning and progress. There's a catchphrase we've started to use at school, and it's using the old practice. People used to say practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice does make progress. The more you practice something, the better you better get at it, but you don't often get perfect at it. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm waffling again.
Yeah, apologies, Max, on YouTube. I stuffed up mutas accidentally for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we apologise for that.
It's the first time I've tried to use that wireless headset while live. I was just doing it because I'm so tired. I needed food to re-energize myself and a cup of tea. So apologies.
Unlike me, who needed sleep and couldn't get up for the Alien Week, was up doing that at 2 a.m. So
Yep.
He's now been going, what, 6 hours? 7 hours or so?
I've had about 4 hours sleep in the last 24 hours, but it was in 4 lots. So I've had 4 lots of 1 hour.
Yep.
So yeah. But I'll sleep after this.
Lord Hollington had a question that said Nova A42s had a great question, but I don't know what it was because clearly we've answered it anyway because we're moving down the roll.
Yep.
Kyle Smith, did you know 319.1 just dropped to live?
Really?
No, I didn't. But
Let's double check that he's not bullshitting us. Because that is awesome. There's a whole bunch of fixes in there. It is too. There's an update there for 319.1 live. Absolutely. Yep. Awesome. Enjoy. That's awesome.
Enjoy the download.
Yeah.
Darab Mao says, did you guys see they put up a Q&A for the Storm? It's in a character and of course there. Yeah, we have now. At the time, no, we hadn't.
Yeah.
I think that was the type of question that made us go
look at it. Yeah.
What loaner do you think would be a fit for the E1? Well, I said 400i or anything other than a bloody.
I would have gone a freelancer, or one of the variants of the freelancer.
Yeah, even a freelancer, anything but a bloody useless piece of.
I think more that you're offended because it was Drake, right? But if you look at the role, though, I think the role fits quite well.
What a
troop transporter.
Troop transport versus
a luxury transporter. So it's they're looking at the transporter, not the luxury part, Algared.
I would have said if you're looking for a transporter, a passenger transporter, a better one would have been a Phoenix.
Actually, for the price, 400i.
Yeah, well, I said a 400i.
I'll try. I didn't hear that. My bad.
400i was the first one I said.
Apologies. I didn't hear that.
But if you're after a passenger transport, a luxury passenger transport, the only other one we've got in game currently at the moment is either your 890, which is way beyond the pale, or a 400 or an 890. Not an 890, a Phoenix. Anything better than a bloody troop transport. Come on, give me a break. Okay, so
see, there's an example. The A1 got the freelancer miss. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, because it's a bomber versus a torpedo ship. Yeah. Silver Fox Ophos 2VP says, does anyone know what complete on the Raelian? No.
I just realised I've not turned the audio filter back off. That's why it's all good. That's why we're having that breakup. It's all good. I just heard you break up and I was like,
does anyone know, he checked the roadmap about Raelian, but he was having trouble finding it. Would it be cool to have something other than an alien combat ship? Yes, it's always nice to have something other than an alien combat ship. That's why a lot of people are looking forward to the BMM.
And the Raelian.
Yep. But no, I don't know of anything. I think it went grey boxing, that's about it. Accounts have a question. They say, what would be a good alternative snub to the Defender on the BMM?
It's symmetric, so it'll be anything that fits. But I think the Banu Defender is very bespoke in that small size because I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Algared, but it's a medium pad or the pad up for a Vanguard, yeah?
Yeah, I'd have to check that. It's certainly a Vanguard-y pricing of the ship.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is you lose the long range ability. It's the only ship that can do that long range at that size. So it's very, you can put a fighter in, Hornet, Saber, whatever you want to put in there, but as soon as you do that,
you're limited.
And I think you could have ships that go with it. Like you could take a Redeemer, because a Redeemer is now that long range escort, but they won't be able to park in it. They'll be able to probably dock with it and get things off it. So I'd probably say something like a Redeemer, unless you can think of something else, Algared. But the Banu Defender is just such a good fit for that one.
No. Yeah. So
yes or no? You got any other ships or coming up a blank?
Well, in terms of what would I take as a snub? I wouldn't take anything as a snub for the BMM over a defender, because the snub's got no quantum drive or.
I think he means like a ship that can go in the in the banner merchantman. He's just used the word snub, so remove the word snub. Is there another ship you could see that you would take inside the merchantman?
And I don't. You could put anything in there to do whatever to support whatever you're trying to do. But the defender is designed, is the synergy of it is to work as to enhance the defense of the BMM.
Yep.
It is a long range light fighter. It's probably the heaviest light fighter we've got in many ways.
Yeah, agreed. Well, it's got
I don't know.
internals for crying out loud. That kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Even the Santucky High, that's a medium, doesn't have internals. You saw it today.
Yeah.
It's just that little cab. It's
I think
essentially a Fury cab, is it not?
The closest we've got to having internals on a light fighter would be the Reliant.
Yep.
Yep. That's the only other one I can think of, that really does that. That has sizable areas that you can walk around. Like you could say, oh well, the Cutlass, the Aurora has internals you can walk around. Well, not really.
You know what? I just thought of one that would potentially work, but in a really weird way. The Hull A.
Yeah.
Dock a Hull A, but then how do you get the cargo onto it when it's... Oh, yeah, you can.
Hull A can land. Well,
yeah, that could work. So say you're taking the whole ship down, you just deploy the Hull A and it takes it down for you. And, you put that in the hangar while the defenders are outside and you cycle them around. So obviously you have to stop to refuel the defenders and that anyway. So you stop, pull out the Hull A, and that just stays and lives in the hangar.
Yep. Go get your main resupply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's about the only other one I can think of, really. I've read my road through almost every little ship, and that was the only one I kind of went, oh, maybe.
All right, so 11th he says, not a question, but the Yacht Club said there's a victual bar citizen on July 15th. I think he means virtual, but
hey, I might
I like victuals.
Might check in from the Philippines on that one if I can.
So
I love those virtual bar citizens. They've been highlighted my, last couple of ones that we've done. Really enjoyed.
If I attend that one, I'll cube finally.
Hopefully. Well, I think that new Banu disc might be the thing that comes up next, but we'll see.
Yep. They did too. I was wondering whether that was going to be because they're putting it as a Banu. This is the meeting of the Banu. I was expecting the sale from their, since it was the ships from the friendliest Suloi, to include that thing because they were talking about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Zero says, do you think they will increase the price of a Starfarer and Starfarer Gemini once they do a rework? Once again, depends what they add or do to them.
Yeah, it really depends on whether they want to or they feel it needs to. It's entirely up to them. That's the whole how long is a piece of string question you ask us to read minds. It's very difficult to ascertain that.
Would we like that to happen? No. We never like to.
But yeah, it's possible.
But it's possible if they change it and update them and give them more abilities and stuff.
If they want to piss off a lot of people with CCU chains, absolutely. Because that would destroy... Well, not if you've got them locked in place, but if they wanted to remove any future CCU chains, that would just destroy future ones. So yeah, if you've already got your chains linked, which is what we recommend, you're totally fine. It's just that they start going backwards and there's no problem with that because you haven't lost anything. You just don't have any more gains.
So while we were silenced, John says, wondering if he's answering lots of questions. And Donnie C says, turn the voice back on. And Donald says, and then, do you think they will increase the price of a Stuffer and Stuffer? We've done that again.
Yep.
Been waiting to hear you guys' thoughts on the Gatak Raylan.
Good little ship.
It's the last 117, yeah.
Yeah, it's a smuggling ship, blockade runner. I think that kind of speaks to why it's got kind of higher crew requirements for a ship of that cargo capacity. It's designed around just punching through and fighting through with smuggling. It is clearly aimed at a smuggling ship.
Yeah. And whether you see that as smuggling as in trying to avoid stuff or smuggling as being a blockade runner, I think it fits into that role. I certainly think, even if it doesn't fit, it's certainly the replacement of the size of ship the BMM was originally supposed to be. You know, whether it ends up being the actual blockade runner or other side, but it's certainly that size ship.
Yeah.
And where they actually go with that and what they do with it is another thing. There are elements with it that are cool. There are elements with it that kind of make you scratch your head, but it's a nice looking ship from what we've seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot
I put it this way. I picked up, already had a CCU to it. I kind of got another one that goes through it and to the Santucci, so I can have a look at Aurelian or I can have a look at a Santucci. I've got multiple options now, so I'm going to have a look at, because I've got a ship there I don't know what to do with. I built a chain and it's just sitting there. And originally it was for the Corsair, and then all of a sudden the Corsair just, I didn't need it anymore. So I've now got
You've now got your Corsair slot.
Don't know what to do with it. And at the moment I'm leaning a lot towards the Galaxy, which I got a CCU for, so I'll probably go through a couple of things on the way up and have a look before I get to the Galaxy.
Also, after today, you were saying, "Ooh, I may have to have another look at the Odyssey." So,
I'd be turning my Carrack into an Odyssey.
Oh, heresy.
Well, I keep coming back to the Odyssey because it's bigger and I can earn down to a Carrack, and every man and his dog has got a Carrack.
Yep. I still look at it and I go, I always look at the other aspect of what comes with the ship. And for me, the fact that the Carrack still comes with that snub and the vehicle, and the C8 is a bloody good little.
But it also, in another way, you can look at it as a negative. It actually brings the value of the ship down.
Yep.
Because you're essentially taking $100 off the top, so it's a $500 ship, not a $600 ship, or $95. So let's not get into semantics, but you get what I'm trying to say, yeah. Like, so that all of a sudden is, well, I want the ship. I can their vehicles and their small ships. I can earn those in game for nothing, So I would rather not have to pay for those. Is another way to look at that.
Yep.
So yeah.
And we've gone really quick today because we've got a third question just pop in. I was going to say we've got two more questions. So
yeah, now you told them they're going to ask more. Good job. All right, get through them quick before they can ask more. We've got 3 to go.
Says, based on chain dependencies and the backlog of ships that each manufacturer have left to make, what manufacturer after RSI do you think would be worked on next?
Ooh.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Yeah, that's a tough one. There's a lot of manufacturers there. There's not a lot. I'd have to look into the backlog. I'll try and have a look at that real quick, Algared, while you do the next one.
Yep. So we'll have a look at that one. So Dirk Fenrir 84 says, why is it that Alien Week is only about ships? Why isn't the lore team showing up or the character art team? Because most people like to see that type of stuff about ships. But we will have a lore article produced about the Doobie Witsit fidget wheel that the Banu have. Kind of like an and a thumbin. Should I do this? So it would be nice it would have been nice to see the lore team talk about that type of stuff.
So here you
but
go.
Unfortunately, go on.
No, go ahead. Just finish that question, then I'll go back to the other one. I just realized.
So, I think it's because a lot of people want to know about ships, and lore is not as popular as people like myself and Paul and some small minorities of community like, unfortunately. So you appeal to your masses.
I think I've gone to the wrong image. This is this one here. Where is it? This is ships that are not in game that have been announced. So Aegis. Algared, are you able to count as I call this out? Can you count the total of these? So I'm going to call it like Aegis, and then I want you to just put a dash next to it type of thing. And then if I call out RSI, what you put a dash. Can you do that for me? And we'll just tally them up real quick and dirty. You got a pen or not?
Okay.
You got a pen or nope? I can do it myself, but it'll take a lot longer if I have to do
I've
it.
got a
on
notepad.
All right, cool.
Notepad open.
So we've got 2 Idrises by Aegis. We've got the Banu Man by the Banu. We've got a Javelin also by Aegis. We've got an Orion by RSI. We have...
Hang on. Yep.
3 hulls by Misk. What the hell is the GSL? Genesis Starliner? Yeah, that's got to be so that's Crusader. Retaliator modules, that doesn't count. Endeavor is Misk. Polaris RSI. Crucible Anvil.
That's Anvil, that's 2. We haven't had them yet.
Yeah, 3 X1s, but it's really 1 because it's a variant, so I just make that X1.
That's Offer, isn't it?
Yeah, that's no, X1 is also Origin. Origin. Yep. Pioneer is Sinu.
So yep.
Kraken is Drake. Vulcan is Anvil. Vulture is out. Apollo is RSI. Idris K. I guess the Idrises you could just take those Idrises back to just 1 dash instead of 3. So just don't put the K on and then remove 1 dash and you'd be back to the right number.
So you're looking at 2 ships Aegis in at the moment.
Yep, cool. Santoki is Apoa. The Ranger is Tumbril. That's another new one. The Nautilus is Aegis.
Yeah.
Kraken Privateer is quite extensive rework, so I would actually count the Privateer as it's fairly big. It's $350 for a CC for an upgrade, so I would say that's quite a substantial difference. G12 for Origin. Perseus is RSI. Raelian is Gatak. Liberator is Anvil. Odyssey and Expanse is Expanse is also Misk. Legionnaire is Anvil, and then the Spirit is Crusader. So just give us some of the totals there, and then I think
I did lose track, but it's a toss up between Anvil, Crusader, and I think
Anvil.
They're all up there.
Anvil, Crusader, and Aegis is kind of what I can't believe you lost track. You should have told me and I was slowed down. I really want this data actually. So we got I'm gonna do it again. I want this data. 1, 2. Just looking for Aegis ones at the moment. The Vulcan, the Ranger, Nautilus, G12, Perseus, Raelian, Odyssey, Expanse, Legionnaire. All right, so that's Aegis. Aegis is at 4. Would you say Crusader and what was the other one you expected?
Crusader, and I said Misk.
And Misk. All right, well, let's do Crusader real quick. So Crusader is GSL's 1. Crucible, Polaris, X1, Pioneer, Vulcan, Apollo, Idris, Santoki, Ranger, Nautilus, Kraken, G12. There's only 2. Sorry?
The Spirit series?
Yeah, there's only 2 for Crusader. Anvil and Anvil's got Crucible, X1, Pioneer, Kraken, Vulcan, Vulture, Polo, Santoki.
So yeah, it's going to be Aegis, Anvil, and Misk.
Yeah.
We have 3 to go through.
Yeah. Liberator and Legionnaire. So there's 4 from Anvil as well, and Misk. I think Misk may be the big one because of all the. So you got C, D, and E. Then you've got the Endeavor. You've got
really you've got the D and E because we know the C's already done. That's just
but I'm
320, but
it's being crossing my T's, done my I's. Vulcan, Vulture. That's what I was up to now. G12, Perseus, Rain, Liberator, Odyssey, Expanse, Yeah, so Misk is in front. They're at 6. So yeah, I think that kind of answers your question. Hopefully, I know that was a very long way to doing it, but that's how I would answer it. Just find the ships, and I hope that answers your question. Who was that from?
That was from Dirk C. Dirk C. Fenner 84.
Fenner 84. Yeah. So I hope that answers
Yeah,
your question, bud.
if I had to go for the one that's got the most, you go Miss, because they've already got a lot of ships from Miss. They've got a library of stuff they've already done. They've got the whole ship that they've kind of worked on. So they've got the updated stuff of that. We know that we're going to redo the Starfarers and update that.
That's true.
And they've got a backlog of ships to do. So I could see them doing the whole pile of that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't announce a few new ones too. Expanse is in there too. Yeah, so Misk would probably be the next one if I had to guess.
And a couple of others saying RSI 4 and 5. Well, we left that out because it's after RSI. So
yeah. That was the question. Yeah. So I hope that answers the question there, Arjon, because Arjon's the one talking about different numbers. But yeah, RSI now. The question was what's coming after RSI ones. So yeah, Misk might be the flavor of the month.
And that was that was Zerek's question based on the RSI, and then about why Alien Week's just about ships. And not a lore team showing up. And we'll get the lore article on the Doobie fidget wheel. We'll get other stuff. But yeah, Monster AV says. But then the question is, what does the Oddie bring for $200 more?
Oddie's not $200 more though. It's if you're talking about once you take the money off, it is a different ship, but it's bigger. So generally, you have to assume it's going to cost more. It's got capital size components and stuff like that, and it fits in a bigger hangar. So generally, it's going to cost more. And I'd rather take that and earn down to a Carrack than rather take a Carrack and earn up to an Odyssey. You do the math; it works out. It just makes so much more sense. You're going to save money in the long run, and time is the big one. All right, Algared, I've lost you there for a second. Are you back yet?
Yep.
Oh, you're back. Yep. It is 9 a.m. in Australia, and 9:05 actually. Everyone's just walked in the door and turned on their computers near where Algared lives. Yeah, so that's what that was.
That's probably what that is.
Yep.
And then the last question we've got. Is from Sam Groper, our favourite Western Australian.
Yep.
Zeros, you're trying to sneak in another question, you sneaky bugger. Sam Groper says, are you disappointed with his Alien Week?
It's definitely been the weirdest. If you combine this and Invictus together, it's definitely been one of the most weirdest. But I think it shows. That's the one thing we didn't talk about in that video was Invictus itself. That's just such a missed thing that we missed in that video. But that just shows you how tired we were. Yeah, look at Invictus. There's literally no ship with a quantum drive at Invictus.
Yep.
And it's 2 vehicles and a snub. They are doing low-hanging fruit like crazy.
Yeah,
I can't believe we missed that out. That just shows you how tired we were, though, doesn't it?
But I think it goes back to what John Cruise said about when they were doing the ship round table, and they said, when we've got new staff coming on, you have to get them into the fold. You don't just throw them. You don't put them into a situation where you don't set people up to fail.
Yep.
You set them up for a challenge. You set them up where they will have failures, but not to absolute.
Got to teach them how to learn. They have to struggle, but they need to kind of get there in the end.
Yeah, and so I think that's why I think we're the changing of a guard and new staff coming on board, and that changes the way you look at stuff. So yeah, I can see why, but yeah.
All right, last question then by Shinobi Trip. He says,
Zerev's got a question on the staff error, and then Shinobi Trip. So Zerev says, will the price jump for the Starfarer and Starfarer Gemini once they do the rework on them? I think we answered that earlier.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't. That's why I skipped it. Went to the next one. Yeah,
and the answer is possibly. It's how long it's been a string. If they want it to up, they'll go it up. It depends, and I think it depends on what they add. If they add lots of stuff to it, then it'll go up in price. If they your guess is as good as mine. Anyway, Shinobi Trip's last question. Which alien manufacturer do you think will get the first starter?
Whichever the one they do the first expansion for.
The
I know what you're going to say. I know exactly what you're going to say.
what am I going to say?
You're going to say the one that starts with T.
Tavaran. Yeah, well,
I know you
already
too
got
well, Algared, at this point, right? It's
Yeah,
an old record.
but we know which one's got the first starter
Mm.
because they've got a starter pack for it.
I think
Present.
I think it actually makes a lot of sense because if you were going to save the alien races to the alien expansions, I think they're far. Like I know you've talked about an expansion for the Tavaran, and I totally think that is valid. But I think that would be far better as it's like a Tavaran one where they discover something.
Yeah.
So I actually think they're better to do like the Zion, the Banu, and then do the Tavaran. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like coming back and almost revisiting the humans and then updating it. So I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's more likely to be the later one. But I do think in the meantime, yeah, absolutely, a Tavaran starter would be awesome. Absolutely, really cool.
But and the reason I said Tavaran is because they've put the Shrike or Shrek or whatever the Talon in a starter pack for Alien Week. So technically, we do have an alien starter ship. Is it the best alien starter ship? No.
I think the other way you could go too is what about a Mirai starter that's an alien hybrid? You know,
You can definitely look at that as well.
unless I'm completely brain farting, what is the Misk starter? I'm brain farting really hard. There is no Misk starter, is there?
The Misk starter is a freelancer.
Yeah, and obviously the Reliant Core, that's the one. It's an advanced starter, so there is no real. But what about a Mirai as well? I said Mirai, but like Misk. So there's room there for that as well, which could be interesting. You could have a Tavaran Mirai combo, which would be really interesting. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see a Tavaran ship because I do like the Tavaran. The Tavaran are maybe underdog. I look forward to being able to do it, play a Tavaran.
What are you doing?
To me, playing other races apart from a Tavaran, the reason I think the Tavaran are an easy step forward for an expansion, even though I do like your idea of coming back to humanity, is
well, you can imagine going out and we've talked about this. You and I talked about this before. Going through like a jump point and finding the true lost Tavaran civilization. We found out that they moved. And the wormhole closed or something, and then 600 years later it opens again,
Yeah, but I think that the thing with Tavaran is the fact that they're a conquered race, the fact that they're living within human, and they've lost their culture. You don't need to worry about learning the language because you're speaking common, because that's the language you're doing. And the whole story becomes trying to find out your culture.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do Zion or Banu, you've got that whole language aspect. You've got to tie in and learn, and that to me seems a harder aspect. It might be easier, but to me it comes across as harder. But yeah. Anyway, that's our last question. And we always say when our questions run out, we're going.
Yep. So I'm gonna find someone to raid that, and I kind of want to get finished early, so I can go get some sleep. But we went for over 3 hours, so our standard time is meant to be 3 hours, right? And we end up going to 4 or more. So let me go find someone to raid on Twitch for you guys. Someone
is saying in Twitch chat, let's start the third Tavaran War. But I think Paul would agree with me. The Tavaran War the next Tavaran War is going to be a civil war. It's going to be the Tavaran Civil War.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
interesting, and it would be kind of cool if the humans get pulled into that. I could see that as well.
I will, because I think the Civil War is going to be the Tavarans in UEU space versus the Tavarans in the free system. So I really, really need to disappear, X. So I'm going to say, take care, guys. Be well. That's been Execute. I've been Algared, and I'm out of here. Take care.
All right. I will hand off the rest of it. You have a good one, Algared, and I will catch you later. So we're going to raid a fellow Inforunner. We're going to raid Mr. Loken Plays. So let him know what you think of him. Loken. Algared's got family stuff he's got to take care of. So that's why he's under the pump today. So yeah. All right. As for YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe. We will have another episode for you guys on the weekend as well, and ring that notification bell. Please like this video, as with all our videos. It helps out immensely. We don't really push ourselves very much, but we need to start doing it a lot more. We need to start playing that YouTube game, unfortunately. All right. You guys on Twitch, take care and say hello to Loken for me. I'll be around to say hello in a minute. All right. Bye. Bye, Twitch. All right, YouTube. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on the weekend. Take care. Bye now. You gotta stop purring so much. It's so loud. I can hear you through the headphones. Yeah.